Chapter 1766. The scene of the protective mountain array collapsing fell into everyone's eyes. Everyone's eyes were filled with incomparable shock and disbelief. The protective mountain array of the Sacred Academy sect collapsed just like that? How is this possible? The protective mountain array of the Sacred Academy sect collapsed with a single slash? What kind of sword technique is this? This kind of power, it's definitely an immortal technique. Chu Fengyan is only in the realm of 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. How can he unleash such a terrifying sword technique? Many disciples of the Sacred Dragon's secret domain who witnessed this scene were blinking their eyes frantically, as if they were trying to confirm if this scene was real. However, no matter how they looked, the protective mountain array of the Sacred Academy sect was already shattered, uprooted. Countless array cores in the protective mountain array were burned to ashes by the pure, yang heavenly fire. This wasn't just an opening in the protective mountain array. Instead, it was an attack that completely destroyed the protective mountain array. This scene was even more shocking than the scene of Chu Fengyan uprooting the spiritual spring under the Six Extremities Peak. Countless experts on the Sacred Academy Peak, especially those from the 8 halls, were now extremely pale. They originally thought that Chu Fengyan would definitely lose this battle, so they stood on the Sacred Academy sect's side to take advantage of the situation. But now, it seemed that Chu Fengyan's strength was far beyond their imagination. The pure yang heavenly fire was gradually extinguished. Before the crowd could react, a dragon claw descended mercilessly towards the Saint Academy Peak. Defend against the enemy. Wu Yuan was the first to react. He shouted loudly, and at the same time, struck out towards the dragon claw. Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations, the Sacred Academy sect's disciples, and the experts from the 8 halls came back to their senses and displayed countless martial techniques to attack the dragon claw. Mayfly shaking a tree. Chu Fengyan sneered. His mind moved. A deep vortex suddenly appeared in front of the battle dragon claw. The power of the sky-devouring secret technique was activated. One after another, killing moves and martial skills bombarded the vortex and were all mercilessly devoured. This sky-devouring mystic technique could devour the heavens. Now that Chu Fengyan had activated the sky-devouring mystic technique, he could even devour the heavenly star river, let alone these 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. Little guy, didn't you say that I wanted to kill you? Then I'll fulfill your wish. The target of this war dragon claw was not Wu Yuan and the others. Instead, it was aimed directly at Emperor Gu, who had just mocked them. That non-family Emperor Gu still wanted to resist, but the power of 9 tribulations Emperor Gu was no different from an ant in Chu Fengyan's eyes. The war dragon claw clenched, and the Wu clan ancient emperor's body was grabbed by Chu Fengyan's war dragon claw and brought to Chu Fengyan. Kneel! Boom! A huge force shrouded him. This non-family Emperor Gu knelt in front of Chu Fengyan without any ability to resist. A ball of demonic fire appeared in Chu Fengyan's palm and struck towards that non-family Emperor Gu. The demonic fire burned, extracting and refining the soul. This non-family Emperor Gu was so arrogant. Of course, Chu Fengyan would not let him off easily. No, Chu Fengyan, no, young Master Chu, Senior Chu, let me go. Let me go. I'm willing to submit to you. I'm willing to recognize you as my master. No. Seeing the devil fire nearing, the Wu clan ancient emperor shouted in fear. The pain of having one's soul extracted and refining was recorded in countless ancient books. It was 1,000 times more painful than death. Condense. No matter how this non-family Emperor Gu shouted, Chu Fengyan was not interested in him. He only landed the demonic fire, and the body of this non-family Emperor Gu immediately burned. A series of cries of agony could be heard. Even though he was a 9 tribulations Emperor Gu, he could not bear the pain of having his soul extracted and refined. He screamed crazily in the wind. His screams sent chills down the spines of countless onlookers. Chu Fengyan's methods were ruthless. There had been rumors about him since the first time he entered the Sacred Dragon's secret domain. However, This was the first time they saw Chu Fengmian using such ruthless methods. Chu Fengmian would never show mercy to his enemies. And all of you die. Chu Fengmian glanced at the Sacred Academy peak and snorted. The battle dragon claw swept down mercilessly. On the Sacred Academy peak, numerous disciples of the Sacred Academy sect and countless ancient emperors were crushed mercilessly by the battle dragon claw. Their blood essence was completely devoured by the vortex formed by the sky-devouring secret technique. Sect annihilation. Chu Fengmian had already given these Sacred Academy sect disciples a chance. If they did not cherish it, only death awaited them. When the Sacred Academy sect was dealing with Chu Fengmian, they did not give him a chance. Brat, evil creature, I shouldn't have let you join the Sacred Dragon's secret domain back then. I should have killed you long ago. I hate it. Why didn't I kill you earlier? Wu Yuan looked at the disciples of the Saint Academy sect who were dying one by one as he roared out in rage. However, no matter how strong his hatred was, he could not harm Chu Fengmian at all. Unfortunately, you don't have a chance. Die. Chu Fengmian's face was indifferent as he said mercilessly. Half a minute. On the Sacred Academy peak, there was silence. There was no sound at all. On the Sacred Academy peak, there was no sign of life. All the martial artists and demon immortals were killed. No one was left alive. On the square, the 6 ultimate sect disciples who were kneeling were extremely glad when they saw this scene. They still chose to submit to Chu Fengmian. Otherwise, this scene would belong to them. Some of the experts from the 8 halls who did not help the Sacred Academy sect were also very glad. However, most of them only looked at Chu Fengmian with fear in their eyes. Such ruthless means had already intimidated everyone. In the entire Sacred Dragon's secret domain, no one dared to be Chu Fengmian's enemy. The Sacred Academy sect will be removed from the Sacred Dragon secret domain. There is no need for the Sacred Academy peak to exist. Chu Fengmian looked at the Sacred Academy peak and took a step forward. He activated the Battle Dragon Claw and directly sucked in the underground of the Sacred Academy peak. The spiritual spring under the Sacred Academy sect was also something that Chu Fengmian needed. Once the spiritual spring was taken, the Sacred Academy sect would no longer be able to recover. Moreover, the spiritual spring could be integrated into the Sword Origin world for the disciples of the Sword Principle sect to use. The Sword Origin world was Chu Fengmian's nest. Of course, Chu Fengmian had to manage it well. The spiritual spring under the Sacred Academy sect contained more restrictive formations than the spiritual spring under the 6 Ultimates peak. However, it was still vulnerable in front of Sky-Devouring Beast. Chapter 1767. Chu Fengmian activated the Sky-Devouring secret skill and shrouded the spiritual spring under the Sacred Academy sect. In less than half a minute, more than half of the seal above the spiritual spring was broken. Chu Fengmian immediately gathered his spiritual energy and activated the Battle Dragon Claw. The spiritual spring was pulled out from the ground by Chu Fengmian. Rumble. The Sacred Academy peak collapsed. It was exactly the same as the collapse of the 6 extremity peaks. The spiritual spring that was pulled out from the Sacred Academy peak with the Battle Dragon Claw was 10,000 feet long. It was 100 times bigger than the spiritual spring under the 6 extremity peaks. Chu Fengmian was shocked when he saw such a huge spiritual spring. It was no wonder that the Sacred Academy sect could cultivate so many disciples. If such a huge spiritual spring was given to the Sword Principle sect to cultivate disciples, it could support the Sword Principle sect for 10,000 years. Such a huge spirit spring was already extremely rare in this era. Collect. Chu Fengmian was delighted. He gathered the spiritual spring and kept it in his empty ring. At the same time, Chu Fengmian saw a palace on the collapsed Sacred Academy peak. It contained a dazzling array of treasures. Cultivation techniques, martial skills, spiritual herbs, spiritual weapons, sacred elixirs, and materials. There were hundreds of times more treasures than the 6 extremity peaks. Many of the treasures were of great use to Chu Fengmian. Although the Sacred Academy sect was the second of the 4 sects in name, most of the resources in the Sacred Dragon secret realm were given to the Sacred Academy sect. As for the Sacred Dragon sect, they did not receive any resources in the Sacred Dragon secret realm. After tens of thousands of years, the Sacred Academy sect had accumulated a huge amount of resources and wealth. Now, all of them were taken advantage of by Chu Fengmian. However, Chu Fengmian could see that there were no treasures or elixirs in the treasure vault that could raise the strength of a half-step sky human realm expert. It was impossible that there were no treasures in the Sacred Dragon secret realm. It was likely that such treasures were in the sacred ground. Now that Chu Fengmian had resolved the matter in the Sacred Dragon secret realm, the next step was to deal with the old antiques in the sacred ground. Those old antiques were the most difficult opponents in the Sacred Dragon secret realm. However, Chu Fengmian was confident now. Chu Fengmian glanced at the treasure vault palace and waved his hand. Dozens of treasures and elixirs flew out of it. These treasures were useful for the divine tree and Chu Fengmian's physical body. The divine tree's power was. The divine tree's divine tree was refined and refined its power. The divine tree's power. Divine tree's divine tree. Even the sword cauldron could easily devour the divine tree's tyrannical ability to refine and devour. The divine realms. Divine realm experts. It should be said that he had reached the final stage of the 9 tribulations ancient emperor realm. However, there was still a distance between the peak and the half-step celestial being realm. Thus, looking at the time, those old antiques should be arriving soon. Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered. Suddenly, he looked out of the Holy Dragon mystery plane and flew out in a flash. Qingming's escape light followed closely behind and left with Chu Fengmian at the same time. The Heavenly Star River in the Sacred Dragon mystery domain was completely under Chu Fengmian's control. Entering and exiting the Sacred Dragon mystery domain was as easy as entering an uninhabited land for Chu Fengmian. The two figures instantly arrived in the starry sky outside the Sacred Dragon's secret ground. Chu Fengmian activated his spiritual consciousness and swept it out. He could see that tens of figures were flying towards the Holy Dragon mystery realm from thousands of miles away. Among these dozens of figures, the weakest was Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations. Among them, there were as many as 7 experts who were half a step into the celestial realm. These were the old antiques of the sacred land, the true foundation of the Holy Dragon mystery plane. However, Chu Fengmian was the only one who could see those old antiques with his spiritual awareness. Those old antiques in the Sacred Dragon mystery plane were completely unaware of Chu Fengmian's prying. Chu Fengmian's spiritual awareness continued to grow as Chu Fengmian's cultivation level increased. In the Heavenly Star River, Chu Fengmian's spiritual awareness could travel tens of thousands of miles. This was something that even half a step into the celestial realm experts could not do. Chu Fengmian had lived 2 lives. In addition to inheriting the sword way and memories from his previous life, Chu Fengmian's spiritual awareness was also frighteningly strong. Those old antiques in the Sacred Dragon mystery plane were completely unaware of Chu Fengmian's prying. They're almost here. Let's give them a big gift right here. Chu Fengmian's lips curled into a cold smile. With a wave of his hand, the Heavenly Star River appeared again and shrouded the Sacred Dragon mystery plane. It was as if the Heavenly Star River had not changed at all. However, Chu Fengmian had already imprinted his mark in the Heavenly Star River. Apart from Chu Fengmian, no one else could control the Heavenly Star River. Senior sister, hide in the Heavenly Star River first and watch me deal with those old antiques. Chu Fengmian turned to look at Qingming and said, although Qingming's strength could be said to be invincible among emperors, she had not stepped into the half a step into the celestial realm. She could not interfere in Chu Fengmian's battle with a half a step into the celestial realm. Qingming also knew this. Her figure flashed and hid in the Heavenly Star River. The Heavenly Star River was so big that it was difficult to detect. Moreover, the Heavenly Star River had the ability to conceal one's aura. Chu Fengmian also flashed and hid his aura. Soon after, he entered the Heavenly Star River. From the outside, it was impossible to tell that the inside of the sacred dragon mystery plane had undergone earth-shattering changes. The distance of millions of miles was not considered far for the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. In a few minutes, the group had already arrived near the sacred dragon mystery plane. From afar, some people had already seen the sacred dragon mystery plane shrouded by the Heavenly Star River. A few of them frowned. What's going on? Wasn't the Heavenly Star River taken by a little guy? Why is the Heavenly Star River here? What did that guy Wu Yuan say? A half-step into the celestial realm old antique of the sacred dragon mystery plane saw the Heavenly Star River from afar and could not help but frown. The Heavenly Star River was the foundation of the sacred dragon mystery plane. It had always been guarding the sacred dragon mystery plane. The reason why these old antiques could hide in the sacred ground and cultivate was also because of the Heavenly Star River. The sacred dragon mystery plane was not afraid of the invasion of external enemies. Therefore, when they heard that there was a change in the Heavenly Star River, these half-step into the celestial realm old antiques could not be bothered to comprehend the celestial great Tao and came out of seclusion. But now, the Heavenly Star River was there and no one had touched it. Chapter 1768. He wants to take the Heavenly Star River? How can a little brat do it? Countless half-step celestial realm experts in the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension have tried to take the Heavenly Star River but failed. Chu Fengmian is just a newcomer. How can he have such ability? Another half-step celestial realm expert in the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension said as he sized up the Heavenly Star River. The Heavenly Star River had been standing there since the establishment of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension. There had been many experts in the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension who had tried to take the Heavenly Star River but failed. I'm afraid only Celestial Realm experts have the ability to take the Heavenly Star River. Otherwise, it would be in existence like the young Emperor. No matter how strong a newcomer from the Holy Dragon sect is, it's impossible for him to reach that level. The half-step sky, human stage powerhouse in the Sacred Dragon secret domain slowly opened his mouth and said, It doesn't matter whether that little bastard has taken the Heavenly Star River or not. That little bastard has gone too far. How dare he destroy the Law Enforcement Hall? And now he's attacking the 6 Ultimate Sect and the Holy Academy Sect. He's looking down on the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension. We have to subdue him. Otherwise, where is the dignity of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension? A white-haired old man said coldly. This white-haired old man was also a domineering half-step celestial being. Every word he said was like a judgment, containing rules and principles. This was the Emperor Gu, the oldest antique in the Law Enforcement Hall. Previously, it was rumored that the Emperor Gu had been cultivating hard in the Holy Ground in an attempt to break through to the 9th level Emperor Gu. Now he had succeeded. The Emperor Gu had successfully stepped into the half-step celestial realm and became one of the pinnacle experts of this era. When the Emperor Gu mentioned Chu Fengmian, the murderous intent in his voice was undisguised. Chu Fengmian had destroyed the Law Enforcement Hall, which could be said to have destroyed all his efforts. The first thing the Emperor Gu wanted to do after coming out of seclusion was to kill Chu Fengmian. A little brat. Even if he has some talent, he's gone too far. The 4 sects and 8 halls of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension have been passed down for tens of thousands of years. How can a little brat destroy them so easily? Upon hearing Emperor Gu's words, the half-step celestial being Old Antique nodded in agreement. This brat must be killed. But this brat is a disciple of the Holy Dragon sect after all. If we kill him, I'm afraid there will be trouble. Let's not talk about Yin Zun for now. Long Qinjue alone is already very troublesome. If we kill this brat, Long Qinjue will also make a big fuss. Another antique said, his voice filled with worry. It's just Long Qinjue. If we join forces, killing him won't be a problem at all. If it weren't for the fact that we are fellow disciples of the Sacred Dragon Secret Dimension, we would have killed him long ago. Emperor Gu snorted coldly. As for that brat, we don't have to kill him. He has a lot of opportunities on him. We can subdue him and make him work for us. As for Long Qinjue, if he doesn't know what's good for him, we'll kill him as well. We've already refined that thing. Even Long Qinjue won't be able to do anything. As they conversed, the group of antiques from the Sacred Dragon Secret Dimension had already flown to the edge of the Heavenly Star River. Chu Fumian heard all of their conversations. These antiques joined forces to refine something. It could be used to deal with a half-step celestial being. If so many of them joined forces to refine it, could it be an extreme immortal weapon? Chu Fumian's eyes were cold, but he was thinking about this in his heart. Long Qianjue's strength had already stepped into the half-step celestial being realm. According to these antique conversation, they were saying that they could kill Long Qianjue if they refined that thing. If that thing was an extreme immortal weapon, it would be troublesome. If Chu Fumian was careless, he could be killed. However, there was also the possibility that it wasn't an extreme immortal weapon, but a rare item or a powerful heaven-grade spiritual weapon. For example, a heaven-grade spiritual weapon, like the Sword Cauldron, could also pose a great threat to a half-step celestial being if it unleashed all of its power. But this time, even if these antiques had a great trump card, Chu Fumian had already refined the Heavenly Star River. With the Heavenly Star River, Chu Fumian was confident that he could capture all of these antiques in one fell swoop. As Chu Fumian pondered, the antiques had already arrived at the edge of the Heavenly Star River. These antiques from the Sacred Dragon Secret Dimension were very cautious. They didn't approach the Heavenly Star River carelessly, but carefully observed it from short distance away. Although Chu Fumian had refined the Heavenly Star River, he had concealed his mark. Even a half-step celestial being wouldn't be able to see it. The antiques observed for a while, but didn't find anything strange. Go open the Heavenly Star River. Emperor Gu of the Nine Tribulations, Emperor Gu said to one of the Nine Tribulations, Emperor Gu beside him. When the Emperor Gu of the Nine Tribulations heard this, he moved closer to the Heavenly Star River, took out a jade talisman, and activated it. With the activation of the jade talisman, the Heavenly Star River gradually opened, forming a passage leading to the Sacred Dragon's Secret Dimension. There's nothing strange. Looks like that Wu Yuan deliberately lied to make us hurry over. When we see him, we must teach him a lesson. Seeing the Heavenly Star River open, an antique from the half-step celestial being realm snorted coldly, his tone extremely dissatisfied. This antique contained a strong dragon's might. He was a demon god of the dragon clan, Wan Shenlong, the most ancient antique from the Wan Shenlong Hall. As for the other 5 half-step celestial being realm experts beside him, Chu Fumian learned their identities from Qing Ming. 2 of them belonged to the Sacred Academy sect. They were the current sect master of the Sacred Academy sect, Ling Shan, the Great Elder, and Elder Wang. As for the other 3, they were the sect master of the 5 Spirits sect, Yin Qianlong, the sect master of the 6 Ultimates sect, Han Shang, the hall master of the Martial Tyrant Hall, Ba Do Yuan. In addition to Emperor Gu of the 9 Tribulations realm and Wan Shenlong, there were a total of 7 half-step celestial being realm experts. The Emperor Gu of the 9 Tribulations behind them were also experts from these sections. This time, all the antiques from the Sacred Dragon Secret Dimension had been mobilized. Junior brother, are we really going to make a move? Qing Ming, who was at the side, felt like retreating when she saw this huge lineup. There were a total of 7 half-step celestial being realm experts. Although Chu Fumian had once killed a half-step celestial being realm expert, Huang Lu Jin, in the Sword Origin world, and even forced Heavenly King Huang to retreat, that was a one-on-one battle. However, that was only a one-on-one battle. At that moment, Chu Fumian had to face a total of 7 people. This was a completely different concept. Even if the Avalon of 5 elements, Qi Lin Shan, and the rest of the 4 major forces of the Daluo Starfield sent all their experts, they might not be able to do anything to these 7 people. In terms of the strength of the upper echelons, the Sacred Dragon Secret Dimension was stronger than the Avalon of 5 elements and Qi Lin Shan. Chapter 1769. These old antiques are the true enemies of the Holy Dragon sect. Once we kill them, the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm will truly be under our control. Chu Fumian said coldly. 7 half-step celestial realm experts was indeed a shocking number. But Chu Fengmian was well prepared this time. The heavenly starry river was the best weapon against them. Moreover, Chu Fengmian had never used his full strength since he stepped into the Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu. This was the perfect time to test his strength. Come, let's go in. On the other side, the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm stepped into the heavenly starry river after seeing that there was nothing wrong with it. Seeing this, Chu Fengmian's lips curled into a cold smile. When all the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm stepped into the heavenly starry river, the scene in front of them suddenly spun. In the blink of an eye, the passage to the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm disappeared. The power of the heavenly starry river turned into waves and bombarded all the old antiques. Not good. Set up the formation. Seeing the sudden change in the surroundings, Emperor Gu was the first to react. He struck out a huge yin-yang formation from his body. All the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm leaped into the formation and became the formation eyes. They gathered spiritual energy and injected it into the formation to resist the bombardment of the heavenly starry river. The waves of the heavenly starry river could not break through the formation's defense. These old fellows have some good stuff in their hands. Chu Fengmian could tell at a glance that the formation was an extremely high-quality, heavenly spirit-grade weapon. It was incomparably ancient and should be an ancient spiritual weapon refined in the ancient era. However, no matter how high-quality a spiritual weapon was, once it fell into Chu Fengmian's hands, it would become nourishment for the divine tree. I didn't expect the heavenly starry river to be controlled by someone. Chu Fengmian, why don't you show yourself? Ling Shan, the sect master of the Sacred Academy sect, roared as he blocked the bombardment of the heavenly starry river. A figure appeared in front of the crowd. This figure was Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian did not intend to hide from the beginning. After all, it was impossible to deal with 7 half-step celestial realm experts and dozens of Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations with just the heavenly starry river alone. Chu Fengmian had to do it himself. Qing Meng also appeared. She stood beside Chu Fengmian and coldly looked at everyone present. 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. Seeing Chu Fengmian's appearance, everyone sized up Chu Fengmian's realm. Their eyes were filled with shock. They originally thought that since Chu Fengmian could control the Heavenly Star River, he would at least have reached the half-step heaven tier. Unexpectedly, Chu Fengmian was only the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. All of a sudden, the tension in their hearts relaxed a lot. Their gazes towards Chu Fengmian were filled with contempt and disdain. Chu Fengmian was merely Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations. It was only through some fortuitous encounters that he was able to control the Heavenly Star River. This kind of strength was not even worth mentioning in front of these 7 half-step celestial realm experts. I didn't expect that after we've been in seclusion for so long, the Holy Dragon sect has produced a monster who dares to destroy the Law Enforcement Hall, flatten the Sword Comprehension Hall, and the Myriad Dragon Hall. Now, he's even attacking the 4 sections. This kind of thing has never been done in the Holy Dragon Secret Realm for tens of thousands of years. Junior, it's easy to break if you're too strong. I'm afraid it's not a good thing to be so arrogant at such a young age. The great elder of the Sacred Academy sect, Elder Wang, also sized up Chu Fengmian carefully. He wanted to see what the person who had caused havoc in the Holy Dragon Secret Realm was like. Elder Wang's tone towards Chu Fengmian was as if he was lecturing a junior. It was as if he was watching a little guy make a scene. After seeing that Chu Fengmian's realm was only that of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu, he did not take Chu Fengmian seriously. The Law Enforcement Hall, the Sword Comprehension Hall, and the Myriad Dragon Hall were destroyed. They only have themselves to blame. Chu Fengmian also heard the contempt in Elder Wang's words. He sneered and said, "Also, you probably don't know that the Sacred Academy sect and the 6 Ultimate sect have also been destroyed. You may consider joining our Holy Dragon sect. Kid, you destroyed the 6 Ultimate sect." Suddenly, a roar was heard. The sect master of the 6 Ultimate sect, Han Sheng, roared in anger. "What? You don't believe me?" Chu Fengmian looked at Han Sheng and waved his hand. Suddenly, a mass of light emerged. It was the spiritual spring under the Six Ultimate sect. The moment Han Sheng saw the spiritual spring, his eyes became incomparably cold, revealing boundless killing intent. Chu Fengmian had even taken the spiritual spring of the Six Ultimate sect. It was enough to prove that the Six Ultimate sect had indeed been destroyed. Even if he killed Chu Fengmian, it would not change the destruction of the Six Ultimate sect. Little bastard, I want you dead. The moment Han Sheng saw the spiritual spring of the Six Ultimate sect, he could no longer hold back the anger in his heart. He suddenly attacked. As soon as he attacked, a destructive force appeared in the sky. Six Ultimate's Divine Fist. The destructive force condensed on Han Sheng's fist. The power of this fist seemed to want to destroy everything in the world. The most tyrannical martial skill of the Six Ultimates sect, the Six Ultimates Divine Fist, could destroy everything. Boom! The moment the Six Ultimates Divine Fist was launched, the Heavenly Star River shook as if it was about to be torn apart. The tyrannical power instantly shrouded Chu Fengmian and bombarded him. It was an earth-shattering punch. This was the terrifying strength of a half-step Heaven Realm Master. For example, if a half-step Heaven Realm Master descended on a continent like the ancient monster continent, he could completely destroy it in a day. This was the half-step Heaven Realm. It was a completely different realm from the Emperor Realm. The moment the Six Ultimates Divine Fist was launched, the target was not only Chu Fengmian, but also Qing Meng, who was beside Chu Fengmian. Under this punch, Chu Fengmian and Qing Meng would be killed together. Feeling the tyrannical destructive force, Qing Meng's face changed abruptly as she felt the endless pressure. But on the other side, Chu Fengmian's face was incomparably relaxed. This tyrannical destructive force seemed to be unable to bring Chu Fengmian any pressure at all. The moment the Six Ultimates Divine Fist was about to fall, Chu Fengmian's body moved. He suddenly moved his right hand and blasted across the sky. An invisible dragon claw condensed and swept out. Boom! The moment the invisible dragon claw swept across, the Six Ultimates Divine Fist was torn apart. The destructive force contained in it was instantly dispersed. This was Chu Fengmian's current strength. In a head-on confrontation with a half-step Heaven Realm Master, he was not inferior and even had the upper hand. After tearing apart the Six Ultimates Divine Fist, the invisible dragon claw swept towards Han Sheng. Chapter 1770. The invisible dragon claw loomed over the sky as it descended from the sky and swept toward Han Sheng. Chu Fengmian's overbearing attack had exceeded everyone's expectations. As for Han Sheng, he was the one who was most surprised. The Six Ultimate Divine Fist that he had displayed in anger was the Six Ultimate sect's unique skill. However, it had been destroyed by Chu Fengmian's seemingly casual palm strike. The peerless expert of the half-step celestial realm panicked when he saw the invisible dragon claw sweeping towards him. He wanted to retreat and hide in the endless void. However, just as he was about to step into the void, an invisible force suddenly tugged at Han Sheng's body and pulled him out of the void, causing him to be swept away by the invisible dragon claw. Puff! Han Sheng's clothes were torn to shreds, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood essence. You dare to attack me with such little strength? Chu Fengmian sneered as he looked at Han Sheng in disdain. These old antiques of the Holy Dragon secret realm dared to look down on Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian had to teach them a lesson. He would start with Han Sheng. The old antiques of the Holy Dragon secret realm looked at Han Sheng, who was spitting out blood, as though they had seen a ghost. They could not believe what they were seeing. As a half-step celestial being, Han Sheng was at a disadvantage in this exchange of blows. He was even beaten to the point of spitting out blood. What kind of martial skill is this? The 9 moves of the primogenitor? Boy, you have comprehended the secret of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. Wan Shenlong looked at Chu Fengmian in shock. He could tell that the invisible dragon claw that Chu Fengmian had displayed was the 9 moves of the primogenitor. That's right. I've already comprehended the 9 moves of the primogenitor. The Sacred Dragon's secret ground is the only legitimate place in my hands. You old antiques, if you obediently submit to me, I might consider sparing your lives. What do you think? Chu Fengmian said with a cold smile. As he spoke, Chu Fengmian's aura began to rise. He could attack at any time. Just now, Chu Fengmian had beaten Han Sheng to the point of vomiting blood with a single move. This had already left a fierce impression in the hearts of the Sacred Dragon's secret domain's old antiques, and an imposing aura naturally appeared. Little brat, you dare to be so arrogant just because of some fortuitous encounters? You want us to submit to you? Even Yinzun wouldn't dare to say something like that. Hearing Chu Fengmian's incomparably arrogant words, the great elder of the Sacred Academy sect, Elder Wang, also furiously shouted, "That's right, too arrogant. You want us to submit? What a daydream." The other old antiques chimed in as well. With the dignity of these old antiques, they simply wouldn't choose to serve under Chu Fengmian. The geniuses born in the Holy Dragon Mystery Plane were all extremely respectful to them. No one had ever dared to make them submit. These old antiques had ruled the Sacred Dragon mystic realm for 10,000 years, and no one had ever dared to challenge their authority. Is that so? If you're not willing to submit, then only death awaits you. Just as well, I'll kill you all and devour your essence and blood to increase my strength and help me control the Sacred Dragon Mystery Plane. It'll be your final contribution to the Sacred Dragon Mystery Plane. Chu Fengmian's voice was incomparably cold. Death awaited those who didn't submit. As for negotiating with these old antiques, Chu Fengmian wasn't interested in that. If he wanted to control the Sacred Dragon Mystery Plane, then the entire Sacred Dragon Mystery Plane would have to submit to him. No one was allowed to interfere. If these old antiques were to remain and become enemies with Chu Fengmian, it would be a disaster instead. It was better to eliminate them all in one fell swoop. Chu Fengmian, you're too arrogant. Kill us? With just a little brat like you? It seems that we haven't made a move for too long. Even a little brat dares to challenge our authority. If we don't kill this person, where will our authority go? Where are the rules? Emperor Gu stared at Chu Fengmian with cold, killing intent in his eyes. Among these people, his killing intent towards Chu Fengmian was the strongest. Stop talking nonsense. Assassinate this brat. Han Sheng, who had recovered from his injuries, glared at Chu Fengmian and shouted angrily. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he was beaten to the point of vomiting blood by Chu Fengmian. He had lost all face. Now, only by killing Chu Fengmian could he alleviate the humiliation in his heart. Boom! Two figures suddenly moved. Tyrannical spiritual energy erupted and shrouded Chu Fengmian. The ancient emperor of jurisprudence and Sage Han, the two half-step celestial realm experts, struck at the same time, displaying their trump cards and bombarding Chu Fengmian with attacks. Two forces, one of which contained the power of destruction and the other the power of laws, bombarded Chu Fengmian at the same time, intending to kill him directly. Chu Fengmian's expression didn't change in the slightest in the face of the two's joint attack. Suddenly, thousands of sword chi shot out from behind Chu Fengmian. These thousands of sword chi immediately turned into a sword array in front of Chu Fengmian. All spiritual energy that was injected into it was destroyed by the sword array. So what if you join forces? Chu Fengmian smirked contemptuously. Suddenly, he struck out with his palm. Immediately, the invisible dragon claw appeared again and swept toward Emperor Gu and Han Sheng. Watch out, Han Sheng hurriedly warned. He had already suffered from the invisible dragon claw once. Emperor Gu's figure flickered, and he once again hid in the array diagram, borrowing the power of the array diagram to resist the attack. However, Chu Fengmian didn't care. As the Dragon Emperor bloodline in Chu Fengmian's body boiled, the power contained in the invisible dragon claw expanded by dozens of times in an instant. The dragon claw, which was thousands of feet long, bombarded the array diagram. Boom! There was a loud boom. The spirit design above the ancient emperor of jurisprudence's head was shaking violently. Under the bombardment of the huge dragon claw, countless cracks had appeared on it. Boom! Emperor Gu and Han Sheng, who were hiding in the array diagram, were suddenly sent flying. Both of them spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Han Sheng's face was extremely pale. He had just barely recovered from his injuries, but there was no way to replenish the essence and blood he had lost so quickly. A half-step celestial realm expert needed a lot of resources to condense essence and blood. He had originally planned to kill Chu Fengmian to make up for the loss of essence and blood he had just lost. However, he was sent flying again by the dragon claw and spat out another mouthful of essence and blood, worsening his injuries. Han Shang's realm began to become unstable. If this continued, his realm might fall to that of the Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu. Once his realm fell, he would never be able to step into the half-step celestial realm again. Chapter 1771. How can this brat be so strong? Han Shang stared at Chu Fengmian and shouted in disbelief. Two half-step celestial realm experts working together could not do anything to Chu Fengmian. Instead, Chu Fengmian broke the formation with one move. Emperor Gu's formation was a treasure. Even he would not be able to break the formation within 100 moves. Now, Chu Fengmian had cracked the formation with a light blow. He could not understand this kind of strength. He looked at Chu Fengmian as if he had seen a ghost. Chu Fengmian sent Emperor Gu and Han Shang flying with one move, but he did not stop. Instead, his figure flickered and he chased after them. The last time Chu Fengmian stopped after sending Han Shang flying was to give these old antiques a chance to submit to him. After all, there was not a single half-step celestial realm expert in the Sword Dao sect. If Chu Fengmian could subdue one of them, the Sword Dao sect would be much safer. However, it seemed that this group of old antiques from the Holy Dragon Mystic realm were ignorant of the situation and did not intend to submit. Chu Fengmian would not show them any mercy. Die! Chu Fengmian's eyes were filled with endless killing intent as he stared at Han Shang. Han Shang's strength was the weakest among the few half-step celestial realm experts. In addition, he had been injured twice in a row. His strength was not even 50%. To beat a drowning dog, of course he had to kill Han Shang first. After killing a half-step celestial realm expert, Chu Fengmian would devour their blood essence and give it to the divine tree. It would be enough to raise Chu Fengmian's strength to another level. Brat, stop! Stop him! The other old antiques from the Holy Dragon Mystic realm felt Chu Fengmian's killing intent and attacked one after another. They could not sit back and watch Chu Fengmian kill Han Shang. The remaining 5 half-step celestial realm old antiques attacked Chu Fengmian at the same time. At the same time, many of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu joined forces and condensed into a divine light that headed straight for Chu Fengmian. The power of dozens of 9 tribulation ancient emperors had combined to form a divine light. In terms of power, it was even stronger than the attack of a half-step to celestial human realm expert. All of the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret ground launched their attacks at Chu Fengmian. What can a bunch of useless people do, even if they join forces? Sky Star River. Chu Fengmian sneered. In the face of so many experts, he was not afraid at all. He did not flinch and continued to attack Han Shang. At the same time, in the Heavenly Star River, billowing spiritual energy burst out and shrouded Chu Fengmian's body. It turned into layers of barriers around Chu Fengmian, resisting the attacks of countless experts. Even under the bombardment of 5 half-step celestial being experts and dozens of 9 tribulations Emperor Gu, Chu Fengmian was determined to kill Han Shang. This kind of behavior was simply crazy to the extreme. Normally, any warrior, even if they were also in the half-step celestial being realm, would not dare to continue the pursuit under the joint forces of such strong warriors. They could only retreat and avoid the attack for the time being. But unexpectedly, Chu Fengmian did not retreat at all. No one could stop Chu Fengmian from killing someone. Han Shang did not expect Chu Fengmian to be so crazy to kill him at all costs. His body flickered continuously, but Chu Fengmian's speed was even faster. In an instant, Chu Fengmian's figure came in front of Han Shang. A spiritual sword condensed in Chu Fengmian's palm and suddenly slashed at Han Shang. Blood splattered. Han Shang's body exploded in the air under the sword. Chu Fengmian swallowed a large amount of blood essence and integrated it into the divine tree. Boom! At the same time, the combined attacks of the 5 half-step celestial being realm experts and dozens of nine tribulations Emperor Gu also fell on Chu Fengmian. The power of 5 half-step celestial being realm experts and dozens of nine tribulations Emperor Gu's combined forces was simply unimaginable. The barrier formed by the power of the Heavenly Star River was mercilessly torn apart. Even the Heavenly Star River could not stop the combined attacks of so many experts. The strong power passed through the barrier formed by the Heavenly Star River and forcefully bombarded Chu Fengmian's body. This kid is definitely going to die. Seeing this scene, the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystery Realm were delighted. If any of them were to be hit by such an attack, they would only be killed on the spot. This was the only way. There was no other outcome. But the joy on the faces of the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystery Realm did not last for long. Suddenly, in the direction of Chu Fengmian, at the center of the collision of countless spiritual powers, the shadow of a divine tree suddenly appeared. The shadow of the divine tree soared into the sky. It was at least 10,000 feet tall and stood upright. The shadow of the divine tree withstood the countless attacks that bombarded Chu Fengmian's body. Destroy! Boom! A sword light soared into the sky. The combined attacks of the 5 half-step celestial being realm experts and dozens of 9 tribulations Emperor Gu were all destroyed by the sword light. Soon after, a figure flew out of it. This figure was Chu Fengmian. Countless eyes looked at Chu Fengmian. For a moment, there was complete silence. The old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystery Realm were all speechless. Chu Fengmian had actually withstood such a combined attack. Not even a single wound could be seen on Chu Fengmian's body. Unscathed, Chu Fengmian's defense was simply invincible. He had withstood the attacks of 5 half-step celestial being realm experts and dozens of 9 tribulations Emperor Gu and directly killed Han Sheng. This was simply something that no one dared to dream of. Now, it had actually happened to Chu Fengmian. Even Yin Zun of the past was not so heaven-defying. In the hearts of the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystery Realm, no matter how strong Chu Fengmian was, he was just another Yin Zun. But now they were wrong. Chu Fengmian's strength was even more heaven-defying than Yin Zun of the past. Use that thing to kill this person. The sect master of the Holy Academy sect, Ling Shan, let out a long roar. A dragon claw suddenly appeared in the palm of his hand. He threw it out. The dragon claw gradually grew to a size of several hundred feet in the air. Countless ancient lines condensed on the dragon claw. It seemed to be enough to form many formations. But now, there was no spiritual power to support it. Ling Shan was not the only one. The other old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystery Realm also injected their spiritual power into the dragon claw. With the infusion of spiritual power, the array formations on the dragon claw began to condense again. A dragon's might shrouded down. Under the dragon's might, Chu Fengmian felt that the power of the Heavenly Star River was completely suppressed. The Heavenly Star River did not dare to go against the dragon claw. Chapter 1772. What kind of dragon claw is this? The Dragon Emperor? The Dragon Emperor? Even the ancestral dragon's dragon claw shouldn't possess such power. The owner of this dragon claw has been dead for hundreds of thousands of years. How can it still contain such power? Chu Fengmian stared at the dragon claw in awe. The moment the dragon claw appeared, Chu Fengmian felt the blood in his body begin to boil, as if it were thirsting for it. If Chu Fengmian could get his hands on this dragon claw and merge it with his Dragon Emperor bloodline, it would be enough to change his bloodline drastically. Ancestral Tianlong's claw. Chu Fengmian thought for a long time. There was only one possibility for this dragon claw to be ancestral Tianlong's dragon claw. Only the legendary ancestor of all dragons, the innate divine beast, the ancestral sky dragon's dragon claw, could contain such tyrannical power even after countless years. Chu Fengmian had obtained the heaven-devouring beast's heart before. However, this heaven-devouring beast's heart seemed to be in a deep slumber. However, Chu Fengmian could still feel a terrifying power in the depths of the heaven-devouring beast's heart. Therefore, even if he used the heaven-devouring beast's heart to activate the heaven-devouring secret skill, Chu Fengmian wouldn't dare to use the heaven-devouring beast's heart recklessly. However, The ancestral Tianlong's claw before him wasn't in a deep slumber. The array that contained the power was still there, but it had lost its spiritual power. Under the joint efforts of the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm, the power of the ancestral Tianlong's claw was constantly awakened. This is the sacred dragon's secret dimension's power. It's no wonder they dare to claim that they could kill Long Qianjue. Although the ancestral heavenly dragon's claw is not a heavenly spiritual weapon, it's even more powerful than a heavenly spiritual weapon. Chu Fengyan could feel that even if he used the power of the Emperor's Jar fragment, it would still be far inferior to the ancestral Tianlong's claw. Once the ancestral Tianlong's claw was activated, its power would be unstoppable by any half-step celestial being. Chu Fengyan's body trembled. He couldn't let the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm activate the ancestral Tianlong's claw. Even with Chu Fengyan's current strength and heavenly starry river, it would be difficult to resist the sharpness of the ancestral Tianlong's claw. Moreover, Chu Fengyan's claw had the desire of the ancestral Tianlong's claw was Tianlong's claw. Its bloodlines of the dragons of the dragon clan, of the dragon's claw, of the dragon of the dragon of dragons, of it his dragons, of the dragon of the of tt of the of s of the of it dragon it of the of course it of them of it of the of them. However, the ancestral Tianlong's claw had now fallen into the hands of the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm. It was unknown what method the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm had used to refine the ancestral Tianlong's claw and could channel their spiritual energy into it to activate it. The old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm have yet to refine the ancestral Tianlong's claw. Suddenly, Chu Fengyan's eyes flickered. He sent his spiritual consciousness into the claw and discovered that the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm had only controlled a portion of the array on the ancestral Tianlong's claw. In fact, the ancestral Tianlong's claw was still an ownerless object. It was just that the old antiques could borrow a portion of the array's power to activate it against their enemies. Chu Fengyan's expression became extremely excited when he heard the news. Since it was an ownerless object, it meant that Chu Fengyan had a chance of obtaining and controlling the ancestral Tianlong's claw. Chu Fengyan cultivated the battle dragon technique and now possessed the bloodline of the ancient dragon emperor. Logically speaking, he had a better chance of refining the ancestral Tianlong's claw than the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm. However, Chu Fengyan needed a chance to get close to the ancestral Tianlong's claw. The old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm obviously would not give Chu Fengyan such a chance. When Ling Shan took out the ancestral Tianlong's claw, it showed that the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm were determined to kill Chu Fengyan. The other 5 half-step celestial realm experts and the dozens of 9 tribulations Emperor Gu all attacked at the same time and gathered their spiritual energy. Waves of spiritual energy were channeled into the ancestral Tianlong's claw. Suddenly, the ancestral Tianlong's claw seemed to have come to life and blasted toward Chu Fengyan with the force of a thunderbolt. The huge dragon claw, which was hundreds of feet long, blasted toward Chu Fengyan and swept everything in its path. The power of the claw was many times stronger than Chu Fengyan's battle dragon's claw. Although ancestral Tianlong had fallen, the dragon claw still contained 1/10,000th of ancestral Tianlong's power. It was enough to kill a heavenly being. Innate divine beasts were comparable to peak 9th order immortals and immortal emperors. According to the records, innate divine beasts were even stronger than immortal emperors. Now, the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret realm could only activate 1/10 of the power contained in the ancestral Tianlong's claw. Even so, it was still terrifying. Chu Fengyan's face was grim. He knew how powerful the ancestral Tianlong's claw was and did not dare to be careless. The power of the Heavenly Star River gathered around Chu Fengyan and formed the first line of defense. Then, the shadow of the heavenly tree shrouded Chu Fengyan's body and became the second line of defense. The last line of defense and the third line of defense were the fleshly crystals inside Chu Fengmian's body. Under Chu Fengmian's control, the power of the flesh and blood crystals was condensed to the limit and turned into an invincible defense. Facing the power of the ancestral Tianlong's claw head-on was akin to courting death. The only thing Chu Fengmian could do was to resist the power of the ancestral Tianlong's claw. Rumble. The ancestral Tianlong's claw swept down, destroying everything in its path. Everything in the world seemed to be destroyed by this claw. The first line of defense, formed by the Heavenly Star River, was broken in an instant. The power of the Heavenly Star River was stronger than an ordinary half-step celestial being. But in front of the ancestral Tianlong's claw, it was like a mayfly trying to shake a tree. It only resisted for a moment before it was mercilessly torn apart. Then, the ancestral Tianlong's claw slammed into the shadow of the heavenly tree. Chapter 1773. The divine tree in Chu Fengmian's body had been integrated with countless treasures, such as the sword cauldron, the archaic bronze door, the door of Dharma, and logos. In addition, the divine tree had devoured the blood essence of many half-step celestial realm experts. Its current power had reached an incredible level. However, Chu Fengmian still felt the divine tree tremble under the attack of primogenitor Tianlong's claw. Under such power, even the divine tree would be torn apart. The power of the claw was terrifying to the extreme. It was more powerful than any half-step celestial realm expert. This was only the power of the old antiques of the Holy Dragon's secret dimension, who had activated part of the formation on primogenitor Tianlong's claw. The power of the real primogenitor Tianlong's claw was many times more powerful than this. Crack! Crack! The divine tree's shadow was mercilessly torn apart by the power of the claw and shattered in the next moment. Primogenitor Tianlong's claw broke through all obstacles and finally bombarded Chu Fengmian's body. The 129,600 flesh and blood crystals condensed to the limit and turned into a thumb-sized particle. However, this thumb-sized particle represented Chu Fengmian's current body. Chu Fengmian's flesh and blood had completely transformed. He was no longer a flesh and blood body, but a crystalline body. When primogenitor Tianlong's claw bombarded Chu Fengmian's body, all of its power was injected into the 129,600 flesh and blood crystals. Rumble. In an instant, the 129,600 flesh and blood crystals were fully activated and neutralized the power injected into them. However, the power of primogenitor Tianlong's claw was too strong. Even though the 129,600 flesh and blood crystals had dispersed the power, Chu Fengmian felt as if his body was about to be torn apart. This power was much more terrifying than any power Chu Fengmian had ever endured. Chu Fengmian could feel that the 129,600 fleshly crystals in his body were reaching their limits. They could hardly bear the power contained within. However, at the same time, the 129,600 blood and flesh crystals were actually close to a chance of transforming under this pressure. In this desperate situation, the 129,600 flesh and blood crystals' full potential was stimulated. Chu Fengmian's flesh and blood crystal began to transform and reform crazily. Chu Fengmian's physical body had been destroyed countless times in the face of this power. However, by relying on the crystallized flesh, his physical body was able to reform again and again. Each time the physical body was formed, it would become even stronger. This kid isn't dead yet. How is that possible? Even a young emperor wouldn't be able to withstand such terrifying power. Only death awaits. So how is this kid still alive? The old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystery Ground had used all their strength to activate the ancestral Tianlong's claw. They had used up all their spiritual energy. At this moment, they were catching their breath and observing Chu Fengmian. However, they discovered that Chu Fengmian was not dead. Instead, under the bombardment of the ancestral Tianlong's claw, his body was being reconstructed again and again. This was the best opportunity to kill Chu Fengmian. If Chu Fengmian could withstand such a powerful bombardment, then they would have no other way to deal with him in the future. Kill. We have to kill this guy. Kill him. Emperor Gu, Ling Shan, and the others roared and unleashed the little spiritual energy they had just recovered. They suddenly rushed toward Chu Fengyan. Countless killing moves bombarded him in an overwhelming manner. They intended to kill Chu Fengyan when he was at his weakest while resisting the ancestral Tianlong's claw. They would not give him the slightest chance. This was the most dangerous moment of all. Green radiance, sky edge. Whoosh! A green radiance descended from the sky and slashed toward Ling Shan and the others. It was Qing Ming. However, Ling Shan, Emperor Gu, and the others had already consumed most of their spiritual energy when they had just activated the ancestral Tianlong's claw. But they were still half-step celestial realm experts. They were invincible in the face of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. Apart from the freak Chu Fengyan, there had never been a 9 tribulations Emperor Gu in the world who could defeat or even kill a half-step celestial realm expert. Emperor Gu waved his hand, and a surge of spiritual energy shot up to the sky and collided with the green radiance. Bang! Qing Ming's green radiance was broken in an instant. She was knocked back, her face pale. However, Emperor Gu was also hit by the power of the green radiance and was knocked back. But apart from Emperor Gu, the other 5 half-step celestial realm experts and dozens of 9 tribulations Emperor Gu had also joined forces and bombarded Chu Fengyan's body. Boundless power turned into a divine light full of destructive power. It was enough to destroy the world and bombarded Chu Fengyan's body. Boom! The destructive divine radiance descended. Chu Fengyan's newly condensed body was smashed to pieces, and his essence and blood were completely annihilated. Chu Fengyan's aura could no longer be detected from the sky. Is he dead? This kid is still dead. Not even his bones are left. With so many of us joining forces and the power of the ancestral Tianlong's claw, this kid can't escape death, no matter how many fortuitous encounters he had. Looking at Chu Fengyan's disappearing figure, the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Mystery Realm breathed a sigh of relief. They had used all their trump cards and finally killed Chu Fengyan. But before they could rest, a voice suddenly rang out. Immortal Emperor Gu, indestructible, indestructible. Even if I am destroyed thousands of times, I will still be reborn from the destruction. This is immortality. Chu Fengyan's body condensed once again amidst the destructive light. But this time, the flesh and blood crystals on Chu Fengyan's body were colorless. Immortal true body. Even if he was destroyed countless times, he could still be reborn from the destruction. This was the true immortal true body. As his body was destroyed again and again, the 129,600 flesh and blood crystals on Chu Fengyan's body finally transformed. Chu Fengyan's body was no longer a half-step immortal true body, but a true immortal true body. It was a realm that countless body cultivators dreamed of reaching. Even a young emperor and heavenly king Wasteland had not reached. Chu Fengyan was the first to reach it. In this world, Chu Fengyan walked in front of everyone. Chapter 1774. In this desperate situation, Chu Fengyan was not destroyed. Instead, with the help of Ancestor Tianlong's Claw and the combined power of countless old antiques in the Holy Dragon Secret Realm, he condensed the immortal real body. Originally, under the bombardment of Ancestor Tianlong's Claw, Chu Fengyan barely touched the threshold of the immortal real body, but still could not step into it. However, in the end, in order to completely kill Chu Fengyan, these old antiques in the Holy Dragon Secret Realm forced Chu Fengyan into a more desperate situation. In this destruction, Chu Fengyan finally realized the true mystery of the immortal real body. Chu Fengyan reconstructed his physical body. Under the destruction of his physical body time and time again, not only did Chu Fengyan's aura not weaken, but it was even more powerful than before. This was something that was almost impossible. For example, Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations and even the experts of the half-step celestial realm could reconstruct their physical body in an instant after their physical body was destroyed. However, every time they reconstructed their physical body, their strength would drop and their blood essence would be lost. One reason was that if their physical body was destroyed a little more than a few times, their realm might directly drop. But now, Chu Fengmian's physical body had been destroyed countless times, but not only did he not lose any strength, but his aura had also improved. This was the strength of the immortal real body. Once the immortal real body was condensed, even if the physical body was destroyed many times, it could be restored without any damage. This was the reason why countless experts, even those of the celestial realm, wanted to condense the immortal real body. This kid is not dead, and his aura is even stronger. What's going on? This person's physical body has been destroyed so many times. Even if he doesn't die, his realm should have dropped. How can his aura be stronger? Ling Shan, Emperor Gu, and the others looked at Chu Fengmian with shock in their eyes. They could not understand what was going on. At most, they had only heard of the immortal real body in ancient books. The ultimate physical body in the world was immortality. However, they had never seen it before. Don't be afraid. This brat must be using some secret technique to hold on. Let's activate Tianlong's claw again and kill this brat. Ling Shan let out a long roar and calmed everyone's thoughts. He channeled his spiritual energy into the primogenitor Tianlong's claw, intending to activate the power of the primogenitor Tianlong's claw to kill Chu Fengmian once more. You want to activate Ancestor Tianlong's claw? This is Tianlong's claw. You don't have the qualifications to obtain it. Hand it over. Suddenly, Chu Fengmian moved and flew towards the ancestral heavenly dragon's claw. Swoosh! Chu Fengmian's figure arrived in front of the ancestral heavenly dragon's claw and grabbed it. Chu Fengmian had already experienced the might of the ancestral heavenly dragon's claw. The last time he was able to withstand the bombardment of the ancestral heavenly dragon's claw, he had also relied on the power of the sacred tree. The shadow of the sacred tree had blocked at least 70% of the power of Tianlong's claw, which prevented Chu Fengmian from being killed. Otherwise, Chu Fengmian would have been killed by the ancestral sky dragon's claw. He would have been annihilated on the spot without any chance to resist. Although Ling Shan and the others did not have much spiritual energy left and could not activate such a tyrannical attack, Ancestor Tianlong's claw was still a threat to Chu Fengmian. However, the ancestral sky dragon's claw still posed a great threat to Chu Fengmian. Since that was the case, Chu Fengmian would first seize the ancestral sky dragon's claw. Moreover, after witnessing the power of Ancestor Tianlong's claw, Chu Fengmian's dragon emperor bloodline thirsted for Ancestor Tianlong's claw even more. The old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension had only used a method to activate part of the restriction on Ancestor Tianlong's claw to activate Tianlong's claw. In terms of methods, Chu Fengmian was not inferior to the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension. Moreover, Chu Fengmian possessed the Dragon Emperor bloodline. Compared to the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension, it was easier for him to activate Ancestor Tianlong's claw. Chu Fengmian injected a stream of spiritual energy into Ancestor Tianlong's claw. In an instant, he saw a large formation engraved in Ancestor Tianlong's claw. This large formation covered 1/3 of Ancestor Tianlong's claw. Obviously, an external force had been injected into it. The old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension had used the power of this large formation to activate Ancestor Tianlong's claw to attack. This method was very similar to the method Huang Jin had used to refine the sword cauldron. However, the power of Ancestor Tianlong's claw was still much stronger than that of the sword cauldron. Therefore, even with so many nine tribulations, Emperor Gu and half-step celestial being experts working together, they could only unleash 1/10 of the power of Ancestor Tianlong's claw. Sky-devouring secret skill, Devour. Chu Fengmian was not in a hurry to obtain Ancestor Tianlong's claw. He only wanted to prevent the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension from activating Ancestor Tianlong's claw so that they could no longer pose a threat to him. Chu Fengmian could kill the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension first before slowly studying the mystery of Ancestor Tianlong's claw. The sky-devouring secret skill was injected into it without any resistance. Ancestor Tianlong's claw had already lost its spirituality. It was different from the sword cauldron. After all, the sword cauldron was a spiritual weapon and contained the mark of the Master of Sword Principle. Therefore, even though the Master of Sword Principle had already fallen, Huang Jin was still unable to refine the sword cauldron because of the mark. He could only control Chu Fengyan by putting the sword cauldron into a deep sleep. However, Ancestor Tianlong's claw was a part of Ancestor Tianlong. After Ancestor Tianlong had fallen, Ancestor Tianlong's claw had truly become an ownerless object. In theory, anyone could refine Ancestor Tianlong's claw. However, the power contained in Ancestor Tianlong's claw was much stronger than that of an ordinary celestial being expert. The old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension did not have the ability to refine Ancestor Tianlong's claw. Therefore, they could only activate it with a formation. If Ancestor Tianlong's claw still had its own consciousness, the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension would not be able to activate it even if they risked their lives. If the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension could insert the formation into it, Chu Fengyan could also use the Sky-Devouring Secret skill to break the formation. The power of the Sky-Devouring Secret skill was fully activated. The formation eyes in the formation were devoured by the Sky-Devouring Secret skill and shattered one after another. The moment the formation was devoured by the Sky-Devouring Secret skill, more than half of it shattered. Oh no, stop him! Ling Shan, Emperor Gu, and the others looked grim. The biggest trump card they relied on to deal with Chu Fengyan was Ancestor Tianlong's claw. Once they lost Ancestor Tianlong's claw, they would lose the ability to fight against Chu Fengyan and would die without a doubt. Chapter 1775. All the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Territory, the 6 half-step celestial realm experts, and the dozens of 9 tribulations Emperor Gu attacked Chu Fengyan at the same time. They wanted to stop Chu Fengyan from seizing Tianlong's claw. With so many experts attacking together, even a young emperor would have to retreat. However, Chu Fengyan ignored them completely. He could even withstand the combined attack of these old antiques, using Ancestor Tianlong's claw. He even used it to condense his immortal real body. Chu Fengyan did not care about the joint attack of these old antiques at all. Chu Fengyan continued to use the power of the Sky-Devouring Secret skill to dissolve the array within Ancestor Tianlong's claw. At the same time, he slowly waved the spiritual sword in his hand. A gust of wind spiritual energy merged into the sword in Chu Fengyan's hand. All of you break for me. For Cardinal Hurricane's sword. Chu Fengyan suddenly unsheathed his sword and soared into the sky. Rays of sword energy flew out from the World's Edge sword case on Chu Fengyan's back. The World's Edge sword energy danced in the sky and merged into the 4 Cardinal Hurricane's sword, turning into a sword energy hurricane that swept everything away. Bang! The sword energy hurricane destroyed everything in its path. The countless killing moves of the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Territory were all destroyed by the sword energy hurricane. The power of the Heavenly Star River was also activated and swept towards the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Territory. Rays of spiritual energy turned into waves and washed over the bodies of the old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Territory. These old antiques of the Holy Dragon Secret Territory had just given their all and were now running low on spiritual energy. At this moment, the Heavenly Star River was the most fatal blow. In the blink of an eye, several 9 tribulations Emperor Gu were swept into the Heavenly Star River. These 9 tribulations Emperor Gu of the Holy Dragon Secret Territory were almost all 9 tribulations Emperor Gu's peak realm experts. If they were at full strength, they could still contend with the Heavenly Star River. However, they were running low on spiritual energy now. At this moment, the power of the Heavenly Star River was almost unstoppable. Several figures were swept into the Heavenly Star River. Chu Fengyan's eyes were extremely cold as he swung his sword. Bang! Those Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations who had been swept into the Heavenly Star River were mercilessly killed by Chu Fengyan's sword. Their blood essence was devoured by the tree of God and turned into its nourishment. The fall of these 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu, was just the beginning. As the countless waves of the Heavenly Star River surged forward, a large number of the 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu, were swept into the Heavenly Star River. Once these Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations were drawn into the Heavenly Star River, Chu Fengyan would not hesitate to kill them. In the blink of an eye, these dozens of 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu, without exception, all perished in the heavenly galaxy. Those few old antiques who were half a step into the celestial realm felt their hearts bleed. These 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu, were the foundation of the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension. But now, all of them had been massacred by Chu Fengyan. The Sacred Dragon's secret realm was completely finished. However, these few old antiques who were half a step into the celestial realm could not afford to think too much about it. They could not even protect themselves now. They barely managed to resist the sweeping sword chi hurricane, but under the power of the Heavenly Star River, they were already on the verge of collapsing. Vile spawn! Vile spawn! I should have killed you the moment you entered the Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension. Holy Dragon Sect. The Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension has indeed been destroyed by the Holy Dragon Sect. I hate it. Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos roared madly in the Heavenly Star River as he withstood the repeated bombardment. He had stepped into the half a step into the celestial realm. After coming out of seclusion, the first thing he wanted to do was to kill Chu Fengyan. But he did not expect that he would be defeated so miserably in the battle with Chu Fengyan. Many half a step into the celestial realm, and 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations joined forces against Chu Fengyan, but they were defeated by Chu Fengyan alone. This was simply a shocking matter. Everyone was incomparably regretful in their hearts. Why didn't they kill Chu Fengyan earlier? When Chu Fengyan destroyed the law enforcement hall, these people thought that Chu Fengyan was just a small fellow and did not care at all. Therefore, they did not have the intention to kill Chu Fengyan. But they did not expect that Chu Fengyan would have such a shocking fortuitous encounter after making a trip to the 9 regions. Now, even with so many half a step into the celestial realm experts and 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu of the 9 tribulations were no match for Chu Fengyan. The Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension has been destroyed by the Holy Dragon Sect. The Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension can only be considered orthodox and can only be glorious in the hands of the Holy Dragon Sect. Chu Fengyan heard Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos and sneered at Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos. Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos, I'm still short of a few people to manage the Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension. If you kneel now and repent for your sins, I can spare your life. What do you think? Bah, kid, even if you kill me, don't think that I'll submit to you. Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos shouted angrily at Chu Fengyan. Is that so? You don't want to submit? Fine. Chu Fengyan looked at Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos and sneered. With a point of his palm, a beam of sword energy slashed toward Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos. Bang! The sword energy pierced through Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos. Emperor Gu of the Dharma and Logos' body exploded in the air. His essence and blood were all devoured by the divine tree. A half a step into the celestial realm expert had fallen just like that. In Chu Fengyan's hands, these half a step into the celestial realm experts no longer had any ability to resist. Chu Fengyan could kill them as he wished. The moment when these old antiques of the Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension activated the primogeniture Tianlong's Claw to attack Chu Fengyan was the best opportunity to kill Chu Fengyan, but Chu Fengyan still managed to neutralize it. It also allowed Chu Fengyan's half-step immortal real body to become a true immortal real body, and his strength skyrocketed. These old antiques of the Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension had completely fallen into Chu Fengyan's hands. If they submitted to Chu Fengyan could still spare their lives. As for those who refused to submit and intended to become enemies with Chu Fengyan had no intention of letting them live. Junior brother, the people of the 6 Ultimate Sect and the Holy Dragon Sect must not be spared. Qing Meng appeared at the side and looked coldly at Ling Shan and Elder Wang. Of course, the people of these two sects dared to become enemies with the Holy Dragon sect. Only death awaits them. Chu Fengmian snorted coldly. With a point of his palm, two beams of sword energy flew out and exploded Ling Shan and Elder Wang's bodies in the air. Their essence and blood were all devoured by the divine tree and turned into nourishment for the divine tree. Another two half a step into the celestial realm experts had fallen. Now, in front of Chu Fengmian, these ordinary half a step into the celestial realm experts could be killed as he wished. Chapter 1776. Chu Fengmian's strength was already above most of the half-step celestial realm experts. Although Chu Fengmian's realm was only that of the Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu, his strength was much stronger than ordinary half-step celestial realm experts. Against ordinary half-step celestial realm experts, such as the ancient Emperor of Jurisprudence and Ling Shan, Chu Fengmian could easily defeat or even kill them. Only half-step celestial realm experts like the young Emperor and Heavenly King Wasteland, who had obtained amazing fortuitous encounters, could be on par with Chu Fengmian. After condensing the immortal real body, Chu Fengmian's strength was also much stronger. Moreover, these half-step celestial realm old antiques were now under Tian Xinghe's control. With Tian Xinghe's power, it was enough to suppress the half-step celestial realm old antique strength. That was why Chu Fengmian could kill them with a wave of his hand. However, this was mainly due to Tian Xinghe's contribution. If it was outside, Chu Fengmian might have to use some means. Defeating them was easy, but killing them was difficult. After all, almost all half-step celestial realm experts had amazing fortuitous encounters and had many means to escape. Chu Fengmian might not be able to kill them. Chu Fengmian's strength was not at the level where he could crush everything. However, because these old antiques were now trapped in Tian Xinghe, it was difficult for them to escape no matter how many means they had. It was naturally easy for Chu Fengmian to kill them. The three of you, are you willing to fall like them or submit to me? Make your choice. Those who are willing to submit, kneel now and open your Taoist heart. Chu Fengmian looked at the remaining three half-step celestial realm experts. Wan Shunlong, Tyrant Dipper Yuan, and Yin Qianlong. Chu Fengmian's greatest enemies were the Holy Academy sect and Six Ultimate sect. Now, the experts of these two sects had all died in his hands. Chu Fengmian could give the remaining three a chance. After all, it was best for the Holy Dragon's secret realm and Sword Principle sect to be guarded by half-step celestial realm experts in the future. We are half-step celestial realm experts. We are no longer mortals and will never submit to you. Chu Fengmian, I can serve you, but not as your slave. I will only work for you and help you manage the Holy Dragon's secret realm. What do you think? Dipper Yuan hesitated for a moment and spoke first. He was, after all, a half-step celestial being with an extraordinary status. Once he stepped into the half-step celestial being realm, he was no longer a mortal, but a celestial being. Although he was only a half-step celestial being, he was also someone who was close to becoming an immortal. He could not accept it. Was Dipper. Oh, was Dipper Yuan, was. As Dipper Yuan and Dipper Yuan, Tian Dipper Yuan said Dippers. Dipper Yuans, Dipper. That was understood Dipper. Was Dipper. Was equal treatment? Chu Fengmian looked at the two people who spoke and spoke with a faint smile. His eyes seemed to be pondering. That's right. These are our conditions. Chu Fengmian, you should know that the Sacred Dragon's secret domain has always been eyed covetously in the Daluo star field. The three major forces have always wanted to destroy the Sacred Dragon's secret domain. Seeing that Chu Fengmian seemed to be hesitating, Bado Yuan continued to speak. Although you're very powerful, it is simply impossible for you to be a match for the three great powers by yourself. If you were to kill us, the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm will also be destroyed in the future. Go on, Chu Fengmian said in a deep voice. Seeing Chu Fengmian's expression, Bado Yuan felt joy in his heart. He felt that he had already grasped Chu Fengmian's weakness. As long as you let the three of us go now, you will be on equal footing with us. In the future, When the three great factions attack the Holy Dragon's secret ground, we will also contribute. However, there is one condition. Since you killed Ling Shan, Han Sheng, and the others, you must split their wealth with us. Only then will it be fair. Greed flashed in Bado Yuan's eyes as he spoke. Split the wealth equally with you? You want to be on equal footing? It seems like you still don't understand your position. After hearing Bado Yuan's words, Chu Fumian sneered and said, I have said it before. If you don't submit, you will die. How dare you talk about conditions with me? So what if the three great factions attack the Holy Dragon's secret ground? Even if they don't attack the Holy Dragon's secret ground, I plan to destroy the three great factions. I don't need the help of trash like you. The two of you dot. As Chu Fumian spoke, he pointed his finger and two rays of sword, qi, slashed towards Bado Yuan and Wan Shenlong. Bado Yuan and Wan Shenlong did not expect Chu Fumian to ignore their conditions. They were half-step to celestial realm experts. No matter which faction they were in, they would be treated with respect. Even if they immediately joined the other three great factions, the other three great factions would treat them as VIPs and even promote them to the upper echelons. However, in front of Chu Fumian, half-step to celestial realm experts were meaningless. If they submitted obediently, Chu Fumian could still spare their lives. This was already a great gift to them. If they dared to talk about conditions with Chu Fumian, only death would await them. Bang! Swordlight flashed, and Bado Yuan were killed mercilessly. Only Yin Qianlong of the Five Spirits sect was left in the Heavenly Star River. Why didn't you say anything just now? Chu Fumian looked at Yin Qianlong and asked with interest. Both Wan Shenlong and Bado Yuan had come to talk about conditions with Chu Fumian. However, Yin Qianlong did not speak at all. He just stood quietly at the side. I know that I don't have the right to talk about conditions with you. I am willing to submit. Yin Qianlong looked at Chu Fumian and knelt down before him, voluntarily opening his Dao heart. Once he opened his Dao heart, Yin Qianlong would no longer have any secrets before Chu Fumian. Moreover, once Chu Fumian left a restriction in his Dao heart, Yin Qianlong's life and death would be under Chu Fumian's control. However, compared to death, Yin Qianlong wanted to live more. Very good. It seems like there are still some smart people in the Sacred Dragon mystery domain. The people of the Five Spirits sect are indeed sensible. Chu Fumian nodded at Yin Qianlong's reaction. In the Sacred Dragon mystery domain, the Five Spirits sect was the only one who had a good relationship with Chu Fumian. Yin Qianlong was also sensible enough to take the initiative to kneel down and open his Dao heart. Chapter 1777. All right. From now on, you will work for me and manage the Sacred Dragon's secret domain. No, in the future, the Sacred Dragon's secret domain will be the Sacred Dragon Hall of the Sword Dao sect. I have established a force in the 9 regions called the Sword Dao sect. The Sacred Dragon's secret domain will be one of the halls in the future. Chu Fumian looked at Yin Qianlong and said, his return to the Sacred Dragon mystery realm this time was not only for revenge, but also to subdue the Sacred Dragon mystery realm. The overall strength of the Sword Dao sect was still too far away from the 7 major sects of the 9 regions. The 7 major sects did not dare to attack the Sword Dao sect for the time being because of Chu Fumian. The overall strength of the Sword Dao sect was too weak. Now that Chu Fumian had subdued the Sacred Dragon's secret domain, he wanted to integrate it into the Sword Dao sect to increase the strength of the sect. As Chu Fumian spoke, he gathered spiritual energy and turned it into a restriction. He then inserted it into Yin Qianlong's Dao heart. As a precaution, there were not only 1 restriction, but 2. The second restriction was formed by the Heavenly Death Seal and was inserted into the depths of Yin Qianlong's Dao heart. However, Chu Fumian did not activate this restriction, but left it as an insurance. When the restriction was inserted, Yin Qianlong did not resist and was very obedient, which made Chu Fumian nod his head. Let's go. Take me to this sacred ground. Chu Fumian looked at Yin Qianlong and said, although Chu Fumian had robbed the Sacred Academy sect and 6 ultimate sect of the Sacred Dragon secret domain, his harvest was not much. The sacred dragon's secret domain had dominated the Daluo star field for tens of thousands of years. It was impossible for the wealth to be so little. The real wealth was hidden in the sacred ground. Chu Fengyan now needed a large amount of resources to cultivate the sacred tree. The wealth in the sacred ground could be used to cultivate the sacred tree. Although Chu Fengyan had used the pressure of the primogenitor Tianlong's claw to condense the immortal real body, it was still not perfect and needed to be further perfected. The immortal true body that Chu Fengyan had condensed was only a prototype. He still needed a large amount of resources to fill it before he could condense a true immortal true body. When it came to treasures and resources, Chu Fengmian's requirements were hundreds or even thousands of times higher than an ordinary martial artist's. Chu Fengmian was determined to obtain this holy land's treasury. But before that, he had to obtain the claw of progenitor Tianlong. Chu Fengmian glanced at progenitor Tianlong's claw. After losing its power, progenitor Tianlong's claw shrunk until it was only a meter long and floating in the galaxy. In the primogenitor Tianlong's claw, the formation that belonged to the old antiques of the sacred dragon's secret dimension had been completely destroyed by Chu Fengmian's heaven-devouring secret skill. Now, it was an ownerless item. However, Chu Fengmian also knew that even though progenitor Tianlong's claw was ownerless, it would still be extremely difficult to refine it. It wasn't that easy to gain control of an innate divine beast. Even a drop of an innate divine beast's blood essence wasn't easy to refine, let alone a dragon's claw. Chu Fengmian grabbed the claw of progenitor Tianlong's claw and pulled it into his palm. After injecting a stream of spiritual power into it, Chu Fengmian immediately sensed that the formations in the claw of progenitor Tianlong's claw were beginning to awaken, and its power was rising steadily. Progenitor Tianlong's claw was said to be an inanimate object, but it contained an extremely terrifying vitality. This made Chu Fengmian feel that progenitor Tianlong might really come back to life one day. It felt very similar to the heaven-devouring beast's heart. However, compared to the heaven-devouring beast's heart, where most of its powers seemed to be dormant, the power of progenitor Tianlong's claw was fully displayed. As long as one had enough spiritual power, they could activate progenitor Tianlong's claw to fight against their enemies. As Chu Fengmian continuously injected spiritual power into it, he felt that the claw of progenitor Tianlong's claw was like a bottomless pit. No matter how much spiritual power Chu Fengmian injected into the claw of progenitor Tianlong, he felt that there was no end to it. It seems that it's still not possible for me to activate progenitor Tianlong's claw by force. At most, I can only exert the power of one attack. Chu Fengmian felt that he had consumed more than half of his spiritual power to barely gather enough power for one attack in the claw of progenitor Tianlong's claw. Of course, the power of this attack was only 1/10 of the power of progenitor Tianlong's claw. At most, it was similar to the power of progenitor Tianlong's claw However, Chu Fengmian couldn't summon any more power. Nevertheless, this was already extremely shocking. After all, it took 6 half-step celestial realm experts and dozens of 9 tribulations Emperor to achieve this. Now, Chu Fengmian could do it alone. The spiritual power in Chu Fengmian's body was now comparable to the spiritual power of 7 or 8 half-step celestial realm experts. This was already extremely shocking. After all, Chu Fengmian was only 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. In terms of spiritual power alone, the young emperor and heavenly King Huang were probably at Chu Fengmian's level at most. However, they were all half-step celestial realm experts. Perhaps they had some means that Chu Fengmian couldn't compare to. Overall, however, Chu Fengmian was already at a level above them. He was strong enough to kill ordinary half-step celestial realm experts. To me, progenitor Tianlong's claw isn't very useful. If this attack can't kill me, I'm afraid it can't kill the young emperor and heavenly King Huang either. Chu Fengmian looked at progenitor Tianlong's claw and frowned. He could survive the attack of progenitor Tianlong's claw, but he might not be able to kill people like heavenly King Huang and the young emperor. Although progenitor Tianlong's claw could kill a half-step celestial realm expert like Han Shang with a single attack, Chu Fengmian still couldn't kill him. Even if he didn't use progenitor Tianlong's claw, Chu Fengmian could still kill Han Shang with some effort. Although progenitor Tianlong's claw was powerful, it wasn't very useful to Chu Fengmian right now. Of course, this wasn't a problem with progenitor Tianlong's claw, but Chu Fengmian's current strength was far from being able to unleash the true power of progenitor Tianlong's claw. I wonder if progenitor Tianlong's claw can be integrated into my body. Chu Fengmian suddenly thought. He possessed the bloodline of the Dragon Emperor. If he integrated progenitor Tianlong's claw with him, he would probably gain great benefits. However, this idea was extremely bold. In terms of strength, progenitor Tianlong's claw contained much more power than Chu Fengmian's own. Chapter 1778. Now that Chu Fengmian had exhausted all of his spiritual energy, he could barely activate Tianlong's claw. Moreover, he could only exert 1/10 of Tianlong's claw's power. Tianlong's claw's spiritual energy was dozens of times stronger than Chu Fengmian's. Now, Chu Fengmian wanted to devour Tianlong's claw. This idea was simply audacious. It was like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. No, it was like a snake trying to swallow a whale. He wanted to devour Tianlong's claw, which was dozens of times stronger than Chu Fengmian's. Only a madman could think of such an idea. However, Chu Fengmian's current strength was because he had experienced many crazy things. He had done many things that others thought were impossible. Chu Fengmian had once used the power of the sacred tree to refine the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Today, he might be able to refine Tianlong's claw. Sky-devouring secret technique. Devour. Thinking of this, Chu Fengmian activated the power of the heaven-devouring secret skill without hesitation and devoured the ancestral heavenly dragon's claw into his body. As soon as Tianlong's claw entered his body, Chu Fengmian felt a tyrannical force that wanted to burst him alive. This was almost equivalent to a person eating dozens of times more food than his body. He would definitely be stuffed to death. However, Chu Fengmian endured it. Fortunately, Chu Fengmian had condensed an immortal true body. Otherwise, he would not dare to act so crazily. However, Chu Fengmian sensed that he had consumed a great deal of energy to devour the ancestral sky dragon's claw. Refining Tianlong's claw was countless times more difficult than simply devouring Tianlong's claw. However, at the same time, Chu Fengmian also felt that his bloodline power was not resisting the ancestral heavenly dragon's claw. Instead, it was incomparably delighted and wanted Chu Fengmian to devour the ancestral heavenly dragon's claw. Chu Fengmian's Dragon Emperor bloodline had reached the pinnacle. It was the bloodline of Tianlong. They were of the same origin. Therefore, Chu Fengmian's Dragon Emperor bloodline did not resist the merging of Tianlong's claw into his body. It even helped Chu Fengmian to refine Tianlong's claw. However, the ancestral sky dragon's claw was emitting a power of resistance. The ancestral sky dragon's claw was once a part of the ancestral sky dragon's body. Although Chu Fengmian possessed the Dragon Emperor's bloodline, he was just a little fellow with a thin bloodline in the eyes of the ancestral sky dragon's claw. Tianlong didn't deserve to be refined. It was a pity that the ancestral heavenly dragon was dead. The ancestral heavenly dragon's claw had been around for tens of millions of years, or even longer. It no longer had much power to resist. Could only protect rights twos to protect, S to protect Tianlong, S to protect himself. S's could only protect himself, barely protect himself. Of Tianlong's could, S barely protects to barely S. S's could barely, S's. To protect. Divine tree, appear. Devour. Chu Fengmian roared. The divine tree in his body also joined in to help Chu Fengmian devour Tianlong's claw. The divine tree had even devoured the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Although the primogeniture heavenly dragon was above the 10 heavenly demons, it was not impossible to refine this dragon claw. The power of the divine tree was also frantically devouring the ancestral sky dragon's claw. However, the ancestral sky dragon's claw remained motionless. No matter how hard Chu Fengyan tried to refine it, he couldn't extract any spiritual energy from it. Tianlong's claw remained motionless in Chu Fengyan's body. I can't refine it. Chu Fengyan frowned. He could devour Tianlong's claw, but he couldn't refine it? Chu Fengyan had once refined the bronze heavenly demon skeleton and condensed a half-step immortal true body. He didn't expect Tianlong's claw to be so difficult to deal with, even though it was just a dragon's claw. If he couldn't refine it, it would be meaningless for Chu Fengyan to devour Tianlong's claw into his body. It was like there was a treasure chest in front of Chu Fengyan, but he couldn't open it. Even if it was in his hands, it wouldn't do him any good. But give up now? Chu Fengyan shook his head. He didn't want to give up Tianlong's claw. I don't believe that I can't refine this dragon's claw, even though Tianlong has been dead for millions of years. Chu Fengyan roared to the sky. He didn't hold back and released all of his power. A large amount of spiritual energy was consumed at a crazy speed. Even Chu Fengyan's holy pulse couldn't keep up with his consumption. In an instant, the spiritual energy in Chu Fengyan's body was consumed. Chu Fengyan waved his hand and took out the 2 spirit springs from his empty ring. These 2 spirit springs were the spirit springs under the 6 Ultimate Sect and the Saint Academy Sect. Chu Fengyan originally planned to bring them back to the Sword Dao Sect. But now, Chu Fengyan needed a lot of spiritual energy, which was enough to supplement it from these 2 spirit springs. Chu Fengyan took out the 2 spirit springs. Chu Fengyan activated the sky-devouring secret technique and first devoured the spirit spring of the 6 Ultimate Sect. The spiritual energy consumed in Chu Fengyan's body was all replenished by the 6 Ultimate Sect to maintain Chu Fengyan's strongest power for a long time. With the replenishment of the spirit springs, Chu Fengyan was even more fearless. He frantically urged his full strength to refine Tianlong's claw. Under Chu Fengyan's full strength, Chu Fengyan felt that the resistance of ancestor Tianlong's claw became weaker and weaker. It began to slowly condense with Chu Fengyan's left hand. This ancestor Tianlong's claw belonged to one body. It was impossible for Chu Fengyan to separate it. Therefore, Chu Fengyan wanted to completely fuse the ancestor Tianlong's claw with his body. The ancestor Tianlong's claw and Chu Fengyan's left hand condensed together, and the power began to combine. Some tyrannical spiritual weapons could be integrated into the body to improve the strength of the body. Just like the desolate gilt gold, the sword cauldron was integrated into his body to improve his strength. What Chu Fengyan wanted to do now was to integrate the ancestor Tianlong's claw into his left hand. He even wanted to turn the ancestor Tianlong's claw into a part of Chu Fengyan. This kind of heaven-defying thing had never been done before. Once it succeeded, the heavens would immediately send down punishment to destroy Chu Fengyan. But Chu Fengyan didn't care at all. He was a man of 2 lives. This was a heaven-defying act. What was there to fear? Chapter 1779. Chu Fengyan's power was pushed to the limit. Every moment, Chu Fengyan consumed a large amount of spiritual power. In just a few minutes, the spiritual power in the 6 Ultimate Sects' spiritual spring was almost dried up under Chu Fengyan's crazy devouring. Such a spiritual spring that could support a sect for hundreds of years was completely devoured by Chu Fengyan. Such a spiritual spring was enough to establish a large sect. However, in order to refine the primogenitor Tianlong's claw, such a spiritual spring was consumed. Chu Fengyan activated the sky-devouring secret technique again and began to devour the spiritual spring that belonged to the Sacred Academy sect. The spiritual spring of the Sacred Academy sect was 100 times more powerful than the spiritual spring of the 6 Ultimate Sect. With the support of sufficient spiritual power, Chu Fengyan did not have any estimation as he frantically refined the primogenitor Tianlong's claw. The tyrannical dragon power descended on Chu Fengyan. Qing Meng and Yin Qianlong retreated one after another, not daring to resist the dragon power. This primogenitor Tianlong's claw is not flesh and blood, nor is it an immortal real body. It's actually a kind of condensation of the power of heaven and earth, the condensation of the primordial power. The more Chu Fengyan refined the primogenitor Tianlong's claw, the more he began to realize the secret of the primogenitor Tianlong's claw. The primogenitor Tianlong was a creature born between heaven and earth. He was born in the most ancient primordial era, the ancestor of all dragons. In fact, the primogenitor Tianlong's claw was the condensation of the primordial power. It did not belong to flesh and blood, but a unique existence, a natural creature. The primogenitor Tianlong's claw was the condensation of the primordial power. Now, the primogenitor Tianlong's claw had completely disappeared, replaced by a drifting, illusory aura. Under Chu Fengyan's refinement, the primogenitor Tianlong's claw had returned to its most primitive state, the primordial aura. Innate divine beasts were all-powerful creatures born from the primordial aura. Even all kinds of things in the world, millions of stars, and countless creatures were born from the primordial aura. Primordial Qi represented the most ancient power, the ancestor of all power. The primordial Qi formed by Tianlong's claw represented the origin of dragons. Once Chu Fengyan could refine it, no matter how powerful the dragon clan was in the future, whether it was the celestial being realm or the immortal emperor realm dragon clan, they would be inferior to Chu Fengyan in terms of the control of dragon power. After all, Chu Fengyan had obtained a portion of the origin power. Chu Fengyan had been painstakingly cultivating the Sword Dao. He had always wanted to comprehend the Sword Dao origin and become the #1 Sword Dao expert. However, he did not expect that by chance he would obtain the dragon origin first. However, when Chu Fengyan was about to refine this strand of primordial Qi, he felt a shudder in his heart. This was a warning. Primordial Qi wasn't something that could be resisted by humans. Anyone who tried to control it would be destroyed by the heavens and earth. Tribulation clouds were gathering above Chu Fengyan's head. Within a radius of several thousand miles in the starry sky, there were tribulation clouds formed by tribulation lightning. The gathering of the tribulation clouds shocked Qing Meng and Yin Qianlong. Why are there tribulation clouds here? Junior brother shouldn't have made a breakthrough yet. Where did the tribulation clouds come from? Tribulation clouds only appear when someone makes a breakthrough and does something heaven-defying. If this isn't a breakthrough, then the sect master has done something heaven-defying? How is this possible? Yin Qianlong said in disbelief. He had already addressed Chu Fengyan as sect master, which proved that he had already submitted to Chu Fengyan. Looking at the gathering tribulation clouds, the two of them were incomparably shocked. It was a heaven-defying tribulation. This was something that had only been recorded in the ancient books. Now that it had appeared before their eyes, the two of them quickly retreated and left the area of the tribulation clouds. It was said that this heaven-defying tribulation was hundreds of times stronger than an ordinary breakthrough. Even they didn't dare to take on this tribulation lightning. A heaven-defying tribulation? The legendary tribulation has actually appeared? Who made a heaven-defying move and actually attracted a heaven-defying tribulation? How many years has it been? The ancient books in our Daluo star field have recorded hundreds of thousands of years, but there has only been one heaven-defying tribulation. Who attracted it this time? The Sacred Dragon Secret Realm. That's the direction of the Sacred Dragon Secret Realm. Let's go take a look. If a heaven-defying tribulation has appeared, then something heaven-defying must have happened. Throughout the Daluo star field, countless old antiques who were in seclusion opened their eyes one after another. The aura of the heaven-defying tribulation had already spread throughout the Daluo star field. Countless old antiques came out of seclusion one after another. Even many old antiques who were in seclusion chose to come out and take a look at the heaven-defying tribulation. Whoosh, whoosh. Countless silhouettes were flying toward them. It's actually him? Who is this person? He looks so young. He actually attracted a heaven-defying tribulation? What exactly did this person do? 5 Elements Saber Saint. Do you know the origin of this person? Countless figures gathered at the edge of the tribulation cloud. Although they were thousands of miles away, for those who were half a step into the celestial being realm, it was enough for them to see Chu Fengyan's appearance clearly. Most of the half-step celestial realm experts were extremely confused when they saw Chu Fengmian's appearance. They did not know of Chu Fengmian's existence at all. Only one old man recognized Chu Fengmian's identity at a glance. It was the five-element saber saint. The five-element saber saint had fought with Chu Fengmian many times in the Pure Land Buddhist temple. Chu Fengmian had even suffered a great loss in the end, causing him to end up with nothing when he fought for the evil blood demon emperor's remains. Naturally, he could recognize Chu Fengmian at a glance. This person is Chu Fengmian, a genius in the Holy Dragon's secret territory. His aptitude is unparalleled, enough to surpass Yunzun. I've attacked him several times, but I couldn't kill him. When the five-element saber saint looked at Chu Fengmian, he could not help but be shocked. In just a few days, Chu Fengmian's strength had improved further and stepped into the realm of the Nine Tribulations, Emperor Gu. Now, the power emanating from Chu Fengmian's body made him feel fearful. A newcomer in the Holy Dragon's secret territory? His aptitude surpasses Yunzun's? Five-element saber saint. You couldn't kill this person? Is it true? Many of the half-step celestial realm experts from the three major forces said in disbelief. His aptitude surpassed Yunzun's? Yunzun was already the #1 genius in the entire Daluo star field in 1,000 years. Now, Chu Fengmian wanted to surpass Yunzun? Of course it's true. This kid's strength is frighteningly strong. When I dealt with him, he was only the 8 Tribulations Emperor Gu, but he could withstand a few moves from me and escape from my hands. The five-element saber saint looked at Chu Fengmian and said coldly. He said another piece of news that shocked everyone. Chapter 1780. Now, that Chu Fengmian had stepped into the 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu, he was no longer someone that the five-element saber saint could deal with. The five-element saber saint even felt that if he were to fight Chu Fengmian again, he would be the one who would die this time. Therefore, the five-element saber saint simply revealed Chu Fengmian's secret, so that he could borrow the hands of others to kill Chu Fengmian. After all, the three major forces wanted to destroy the sacred dragon's secret realm. Now, they naturally didn't want another dazzling genius to appear in the sacred dragon's secret realm. Sure enough, after hearing the five-element saber saint's words, countless old antiques of the three major forces looked at Chu Fengmian with murderous intent. Many of the old antiques had the intention to kill Chu Fengmian. In addition to murderous intent, there was also greed. Chu Fengmian was only in the realm of the 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu, but the aura on his body was no less than that of a half-step celestial being expert. This meant that Chu Fengmian must have had a heaven-shaking encounter, a heaven-defying tribulation. Is this person's strength so terrifying now? If he is allowed to go through a heaven-defying tribulation, how terrifying would he be? I'm afraid that no one in the entire Daluo star field would be a match for him. A half-step celestial being from the Qilin Mountain looked at Chu Fengmian and said coldly. He didn't want such a heaven-defying character to appear in the Daluo star field. Go through a heaven-defying tribulation? It's not that easy. This heaven-defying tribulation is 100 times more dangerous than an ordinary tribulation. Even the most heaven-defying character can die under this heaven-defying tribulation. This kid might not be able to go through this heaven-defying tribulation. Countless heaven-defying characters have died under this heaven-defying tribulation. In the ancient books, those who died under this heaven-defying tribulation are much more powerful than this kid. Even if this kid goes through a heaven-defying tribulation, we can still take action and kill him. This person must have a heaven-defying item on him. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to cause a heaven-defying tribulation. That's right. Let this kid go through the tribulation. When he's done, we'll take action and snatch that heaven-defying item. Many experts were hiding in the surrounding starry skies, conversing with each other. Their gazes were always fixed on Chu Fengmian. Many of the old antiques who had come were planning to take advantage of Chu Fengmian's misfortune. Chu Fengmian was well aware of the thoughts of these old antiques. He could clearly sense the greed and killing intent in their eyes. But now, Chu Fengmian didn't care about those old antiques. The heaven-defying tribulation above Chu Fengmian's head was the real threat to him. A heaven-defying tribulation would only appear when a venerate did something heaven-defying that even the heavens could not tolerate. Now, Chu Fengmian was actually trying to refine this strand of primordial energy, which led to this heaven-defying tribulation. Primordial qi was not something a human could contend against. It was a power that belonged to the world, a power that belonged to the origin. For example, if a person wanted to control the power of the heavenly Tao, it would naturally attract the jealousy of the heavenly Tao and send down a heavenly tribulation as punishment. Even when Chu Fengmian refined the heavenly tribulation and obtained the power of creation to condense the natal sword origin, he had never attracted such a heaven-defying tribulation. This primordial energy was even more intolerable than the power of creation. Chu Fengmian could clearly feel that the heaven-defying tribulation was already above his head, accumulating power and waiting to be unleashed. As long as Chu Fengmian dared to refine this strand of primordial energy, the tribulation lightning would mercilessly fall and kill him. Of course, if Chu Fengmian gave up on this strand of primordial energy, the heaven-defying tribulation would also disappear. However, the heavenly Tao couldn't make Chu Fengmian retreat. The path of cultivation was a path that defied the heavens. Otherwise, the heavenly Tao wouldn't send down a heavenly tribulation to prevent a cultivator from advancing. The more powerful the heaven-defying tribulation was, the more powerful the strand of primordial energy would be. If Chu Fengmian wanted to refine this strand of primordial energy, even the heavenly Tao would be jealous. Devour. Chu Fengmian let out a long roar and swallowed the strand of primordial energy into his body. So what if it was a heaven-defying tribulation? Chu Fengmian had lived 2 lives and had always defied the heavens. He wasn't afraid of a heaven-defying tribulation. Rumble. The moment Chu Fengmian chose to devour the strand of primordial energy into his body, the heavenly Tao seemed to be enraged. Chu Fengmian completely ignored the heavenly Tao's warning and continued to devour and refine the strand of primordial energy. Countless tribulation clouds gathered above Chu Fengmian's head. Countless roaring tribulation lightning bolts were enraged. Bolts of tribulation lightning bolts blasted down, mixed with the power of destruction, wanting to destroy Chu Fengmian completely. The heaven-defying tribulation has begun. Such tyrannical power. This is 10 times more tyrannical than the final tribulation of the 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu. This is the heaven-defying tribulation. Look at the tribulation lightning. It already contains the power of destruction. This is the thunder of destruction. It's even more terrifying than the ordinary tribulation lightning. The tribulation lightning that fell was no longer the ordinary purple tribulation lightning. It was black, pitch-black tribulation lightning. It was the great tribulation of destruction. It was said that it would only appear when those monstrous geniuses were undergoing tribulation. At most, there would only be a few of them. However, the hundreds of tribulation lightning that fell were all pitch-black thunder of destruction. Even the most monstrous geniuses had never received such treatment. This was only the beginning of the heaven-defying tribulation, but it was already so earth-shattering. When the hundreds of thunder of destruction fell at the same time, even an ordinary half-step celestial realm expert would be severely injured if not killed. Facing the hundreds of thunder of destruction, Chu Fengmian's face was extremely calm. The tribulation lightning that he underwent was much more tyrannical than the ones that ordinary warriors had to endure. The hundreds of thunder of destruction might be extremely terrifying in the eyes of others, but it was not worth mentioning to Chu Fengmian now. Sword out. Chu Fengmian waved his right hand, and the ancestral dragon supreme sword burst out a dazzling sword light that soared into the sky. The power of the sword collided with the hundreds of destructive lightning bolts, resulting in a series of thunderous roars. Under the sweep of the sword, the lightning bolts of destruction were shattered into pieces. He effortlessly swept away the hundreds of bolts of destructive lightning with a single sword strike. The thunder of destruction that filled the sky was shattered and slowly dissipated in the air. He dissolved the thunder of destruction so easily. How can this kid's strength be so heaven-defying? No wonder the heavenly way wants to send down a heaven-defying tribulation. This person's strength is beyond the description of a monstrous genius. Chapter 1781. Hundreds of thunder of destruction descended, but Chu Fengmian waved his sword and destroyed them all. This kind of strength made those half-step celestial realm experts who were hiding in the surrounding void feel extremely shocked. Even if they were to bear these hundreds of thunder of destruction, they would have to use a lot of means, and they might not even be able to come out unscathed. But now, Chu Fengmian was able to easily break through all of this destruction. Can this person survive this heaven-defying tribulation? Some half-step celestial realm experts murmured to themselves. According to the records of the ancient books, if one could survive the heaven-defying tribulation, he would get great benefits. Once one survived the heaven-defying tribulation and stepped into the celestial realm, it was a sure thing. Even if one stepped into the celestial realm in the future, he would become a big shot in the celestial realm. Once one succeeded in surviving the heaven-defying tribulation, he would be a famous figure in the future. It's not that easy. If the heaven-defying tribulation is so easy to survive, it doesn't deserve to be called heaven-defying. 5 elements, Saber, Saint said with cold eyes. His eyes were full of killing intent as he stared at Chu Fengmian, calculating how to kill Chu Fengmian. Now, within the range of the heaven-defying tribulation, no old antique dared to get close. After all, if anyone went in, they would have to bear the power of the heaven-defying tribulation like Chu Fengmian. But once the heaven-defying tribulation was over, if Chu Fengmian didn't die, it would be the opportunity for these old antiques to take action. Hundreds of thunder of destruction was just a prelude. In the thunder of destruction above Chu Fengmian's head, more thunder of destruction roared and condensed. The thunder of destruction became more and more angry. Boom! A clap of thunder resounded. More thunder of destruction roared down. There were thousands of these roaring thunder of destruction, which condensed into thunder dragons and bombarded Chu Fengmian. The power of each thunder dragon was no less than that of a half-step celestial realm expert. A total of 10 thunder dragons attacked Chu Fengmian at the same time. Just in time, Chu Fengmian raised his head and looked at the thunder dragons in the sky. Above his head, an ancient jar suddenly emerged. The moment the ancient jar emerged, a vast power of Human Emperor descended. Human Emperor Jar. Chu Fengmian took out the jar of the Emperor, which had already condensed 7 fragments. Under this heaven-defying tribulation, Chu Fengmian knew that he could no longer hold back. Furthermore, Chu Fengmian also felt that this heaven-defying tribulation was the greatest test for him right now. If he could pass it, he would be able to sweep away the other 3 major powers. In addition, the 5-element Saber Saint already knew that the Emperor Jar was in Chu Fengmian's hands. In that case, Chu Fengmian did not need to hide anything. Spear transformation. Chu Fengmian let out a long roar, and the power of the Renhuang burst out. The jar of Renhuang turned into a simple spear above Chu Fengmian's head. The spear of the Human Emperor. Dying. Boom! The moment the Human Emperor's spear was condensed, it pierced towards one of the lightning dragons roaring down from the tribulation clouds. The moment the tip of the spear of the Human Emperor pierced through, the lightning dragon was immediately penetrated and destroyed, turning into countless drifting thunderbolts. Chu Fengmian waved his hand and suddenly grabbed the drifting thunderbolts. Chu Fengmian grasped the thunderbolts in his palm and swallowed them into his natal sword origin. Chu Fengmian's natal sword origin was condensed from the power of creation. These thunderbolts were pinched in Chu Fengmian's palm and injected into his natal sword origin. They directly turned into extremely pure power of creation and became a supplement for his natal sword origin. For Chu Fengmian, every thunder tribulation was a time to enhance the power of his natal sword origin. In the blink of an eye, after swallowing the power of the lightning dragon, Chu Fengmian's aura rose steadily, and a tyrannical aura spread out. The tribulation thunder, which was feared by outsiders, was now just a supplement for Chu Fengmian to enhance his strength. The purest power in the world was the power of tribulation thunder, which belonged to the way of heaven. Now, Chu Fengmian wanted to use the power of tribulation thunder to enhance his strength. All of you break. Feeling the skyrocketing power of his natal sword origin, Chu Fengmian laughed and urged the spear of Human Emperor to stab the other 9 lightning dragons again. The spear of Human Emperor, which was invincible, chased after the 9 lightning dragons in the tribulation clouds. The lightning dragons were all destroyed in front of the spear of Human Emperor. Chu Fengmian grabbed them and integrated them into his natal sword origin, turning them into his power. This scene did not look like Chu Fengmian was undergoing tribulation at all, but he was capturing the tribulation thunder to enhance his strength. Boom! Finally, when the spear of Human Emperor was crazily slaughtering the tribulation thunder, an even more terrifying scene appeared in the tribulation thunder. Wisps of gray tribulation lightning slowly descended. The moment the gray tribulation thunder descended, Chu Fengmian felt a tremor in his body. Chaos! Chaos tribulation thunder? Isn't this the tribulation thunder that only appears after the celestial tribulation? The power contained within the gray tribulation lightning represented the primal chaos. Everything in the world was born from the primal chaos. The tribulation thunder descended with a rumble and bombarded the spear of Human Emperor. Chu Fengmian felt the spear tremble violently and flee downwards. After all, the jar of Human Emperor wasn't a true immortal weapon of extreme Tao. Unable to withstand the tribulation thunder, it returned to Chu Fengmian's hand. Rumble. Without the spear of Human Emperor, the tribulation thunder went straight for Chu Fengmian's reward. This tribulation thunder was the true heaven-defying tribulation. What had happened before was merely a prelude. Chu Fengmian stood in the starry sky and watched the tribulation thunder descend. The divine tree on him, the 129,600 crystals of flesh, the bloodline of the Dragon Emperor, and the 2 spirit swords appeared in his hands at the same time. All of Chu Fengmian's power erupted at this moment. All of Chu Fengmian's savings and all of his current strength erupted at this moment. Chu Fengmian also devoured the spirit spring of Sacred Institution Sex Spirit Spring. He did his best to merge the wisp of primordial aura with his left hand. Chu Fengmian could feel his flesh and blood transforming. Once the wisp of primordial aura merged with him, he would no longer be a body of flesh and blood. He would no longer be an eternal true body or an immortal existence, but an existence that surpassed immortals or even immortal emperors. He was an existence created by heaven and earth, an anomaly created by heaven and earth. Chapter 1782. Such an anomaly was not tolerated by heaven and earth. The heavenly law had sent down the chaos tribulation lightning to completely destroy Chu Fengmian. Primordial chaos tribulation lightning descended, and Chu Fengmian could sense that his body was about to be destroyed. He couldn't withstand it and was destroyed by the tribulation lightning. The chaos tribulation thunder would only appear during the Deva tribulation. Only those who had reached the Deva realm could withstand the chaos tribulation thunder. However, even though Chu Fengmian's body had been destroyed, Chu Fengmian, who had condensed his immortal true body, was once again able to reconstruct his body. He was invincible. Even the heavenly law couldn't kill Chu Fengmian. Genesis Chi, merge with my body. The remaining power in the wisp of Alpha Origin Chi was almost completely removed by Chu Fengmian. With a long roar, the wisp of Alpha Origin Chi merged with his body. Genesis Chi, an anomaly of heaven and earth. The heavenly law doesn't tolerate such beings, which is why the Khanate divine beasts and divine builder trees were destroyed one after another. This wasn't an accident. It was the heavenly law's doing. Chu Fengmian's mind became incomparably clear the moment he merged with a wisp of Genesis Chi. Chu Fengmian understood many ancient secrets at once. Why were the once invincible Khanate divine beasts falling one after another? Even the divine builder trees were destroyed. It was all because the heavenly law didn't allow such an anomaly to exist. If Chu Fengmian wanted to merge with the Genesis Chi, he would have to become a connate divine beast or an existence like the divine builder trees. The heavenly law naturally wanted to destroy him. Boom! Chu Fengmian's reconstructed body was shattered by the chaos tribulation lightning once more. The chaos tribulation lightning struck again and again, destroying his reconstructed body. Chu Fengmian's body had been reconstructed thousands of times in an instant, but it was still destroyed thousands of times. This won't do. My body won't be able to hold on if this continues. The heaven-defying tribulation was different from ordinary tribulation lightning. Its goal was to completely destroy Chu Fengmian, not a test. Even if Chu Fengmian endured the tribulation lightning tens of thousands of times, the tribulation wouldn't end until he died. It was simply a calamity that would not stop until one of them was dead. Unless Chu Fengmian could break through the chaos lightning, even if he had an undying body, he would still die under the destruction of the lightning. Be destroyed. Be destroyed. A voice rang out in Chu Fengmian's mind. This voice was eternal and unchanging, as if it had been transmitted from an ancient era. The majesty contained within it was inhuman. This voice was tempting Chu Fengmian to bring him to destruction. This bewitching ability was even more terrifying than the Buddhist mantra of the reincarnation monk. Chu Fengmian felt that every time his physical body was destroyed, his mind was increasingly immersed in this voice. It was as if destruction was the only final destination behind all these deaths. I can only go all out. Chu Fengmian could clearly feel that if the stalemate continued, only death would await Chu Fengmian. Suddenly, Chu Fengmian waved his hand, and a scarlet fruit appeared in front of Chu Fengmian. This scarlet fruit was the heart of the heaven-devouring beast. It was still beating in front of Chu Fengmian. Heaven-devouring beast, if you don't help me, you won't have any hope of revival after I die. Only by helping me will you have a chance at survival. Chu Fengmian suddenly said while looking at the heart. When the others saw Chu Fengmian's actions, they simply thought that Chu Fengmian was crazy. At this critical moment, Chu Fengmian was actually talking to a heart. However, Chu Fengmian knew that although the heaven-devouring beast, progenitor Tianlong, and even the builder tree had fallen, they hadn't completely died. Otherwise, they wouldn't have left behind a branch of the builder tree, the heart of the heaven-devouring beast, and the claw of progenitor Tianlong. Connate's sacred beasts represented the most tyrannical forces in the world. It was extremely difficult for the heavenly Tao to kill them. They had left these things behind for a chance of revival in the future. The heart of the heaven-devouring beast had fallen into Chu Fengmian's hands, so it might have thought of reviving through Chu Fengmian's hands. The heart of the heaven-devouring beast was the only thing that could help Chu Fengmian at this critical juncture. Chu Fengmian understood that the heaven-devouring beast's heart would definitely be able to understand his words. Rumble. Another bolt of tribulation lightning descended on Chu Fengmian. The heaven-devouring beast's heart suddenly shattered, turning into pure, primordial energy that fused into Chu Fengmian's body. The heaven-devouring beast's heart was not refined by Chu Fengmian. Instead, it chose to fuse with Chu Fengmian's body. Chu Fengmian's guess was right. Whether it was the heaven-devouring beast, progenitor Tianlong, or the builder tree, they hadn't truly died. Although they were dead, they still retained a trace of life and consciousness. The heaven-devouring beast had clearly heard Chu Fengmian's words, which was why it had chosen to turn the heart into primordial energy and fuse with Chu Fengmian's body. In an instant, Chu Fengmian's aura was completely different from before. The primordial energy from Tianlong's claw had also been completely refined by Chu Fengmian. The two streams of primordial energy had completely fused with Chu Fengmian's body. Chu Fengmian suddenly felt that his connection with the world had been completely severed. Chu Fengmian was no longer a human, an immortal, a monster, or even a demon. He was a mutant, a unique existence in the world. Whether it was a connate divine beast or the builder tree, there was only one of them. That was the case for Chu Fengmian now. There was only one Chu Fengmian in the world. There would never be another like him. Chu Fengmian's comprehension of the Tao of heaven devouring and the essence of the dragon race reached the pinnacle in an instant. Break! Chu Fengmian's power reached the pinnacle and erupted in a flash, shattering the chaos tribulation lightning around him. Even the tribulation lightning in the sky was forcibly torn apart by this power. Not a trace of tribulation lightning could be seen in the galaxy. All of it had been torn apart and destroyed. The heaven-defying tribulation was over. Die! Kill! Kill this kid. He's no longer human. He's fused the heart of the heaven-devouring beast into his body. This is madness. The benefits of killing him are much greater than obtaining 10 million treasures. Someone who survived the heaven-defying tribulation can't be allowed to live. Chapter 1783. Just at the moment when Chu Fengmian passed the heaven-defying tribulation, countless half-step celestial being experts hidden in the surrounding starry sky struck at the same time. From the heaven-defying tribulation, these half-step celestial being experts saw the countless adventures on Chu Fengmian. The Emperor Jar, the divine tree, the immortal real body was something that even the celestial being experts dreamed of. It made them crave for it. Of course, the most valuable treasure on Chu Fengmian was not these, but his body. After integrating the heart of the sky-devouring beast and the claw of ancestor Tianlong, Chu Fengmian had become an existence close to the innate divine beast. Of course, in terms of strength, Chu Fengmian was far inferior to the innate divine beast. But in terms of future potential, Chu Fengmian's potential was not inferior to the innate divine beast. Chu Fengmian's blood essence, heart, and body were absolute treasures for them. Therefore, when Chu Fengmian passed the heaven-defying tribulation and his strength was at its weakest, these half-step celestial being experts in hiding struck at the same time. In an instant, 8 figures appeared from the surrounding void and struck at Chu Fengmian. These 8 figures, without exception, were all half-step celestial being experts. Many of them had an extremely ancient aura. Obviously, they were antiques who had lived for thousands or tens of thousands of years. Chu Fengmian was very familiar with one of them. It was the 5-element Saber Saint, who had long hated Chu Fengmian. Now, he seized the opportunity to attack Chu Fengmian. The 5-element Saber Saint was the first to bear the brunt. He gathered the power of the 5 elements and turned it into the 5 elements divine saber, slashing straight at Chu Fengmian's throat. The other 7 half-step celestial being experts were also qualified to use their means. They bombarded Chu Fengmian with thunderous force. They wanted to kill Chu Fengmian completely by joining forces, not giving him any chance to survive. That's the Heavenly Demon Elder. He's a famous demon antique from tens of thousands of years ago. He's still alive? Countless eyes fell on the 7 half-step celestial being experts. They looked at an old man wrapped in a black robe and said in surprise. This black-robed old man had a demonic aura around him. He looked out of place with the other cultivators. He was a demonic cultivator. The demon sect no longer existed in the Daluo star field. This old man was an antique that had lived for tens of thousands of years. It said that the celestial demon old man's lifespan was nearing its end, and he had been in closed-door training. He wouldn't come out until he broke through the celestial being realm. But he actually came out? Once the celestial demon old man comes out, I'm afraid he won't be able to live for more than 3 months. Some half-step celestial realm experts, when their lifespan was nearing its end, would go into closed-door training and try to break through to the celestial realm. In seclusion, one could utilize secret techniques to seal one's lifespan. Even if one's lifespan was nearing its end, one could still live for a period of time. For example, the celestial demon old man had entered seclusion several thousand years ago. Who would have thought that he was still alive? However, these old antiques who were in closed-door cultivation were people who had 1 foot in the coffin. Once they came out, they wouldn't have many days left to live. Now that the celestial demon old man had taken action to deal with Chu Fengmian, it could be said that he was going all out and risking his life. I'm afraid that the celestial demon old man has no hope of breaking through to the celestial being realm if he continues his closed-door training. Now, If he can kill Chu Fengyan and get some benefits, even if he only has a few months left to live, he still has some chances to break through to the celestial being realm. That's why he came out of seclusion to kill Chu Fengyan at all costs. Some of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu were discussing. Their strength was too far away from Chu Fengyan's, so they hadn't taken action yet. However, once Chu Fengyan was in danger, they might all take action to get a share of the loot. After all, if any of them could get a little bit of the treasures on Chu Fengyan, it would be a great opportunity. This time, it's too late for this kid. He has gone through a heaven-defying tribulation, but he died in the hands of others. But as the saying goes, man proposes. Some of the onlookers looked in the direction of Chu Fengyan. In their eyes, Chu Fengyan was now a dead man. No matter how strong Chu Fengyan was, under the joint attack of so many half-step celestial being realm experts, there was only death for him. Even if a real celestial being realm expert came, he would probably die. Many of these 8 half-step celestial being realm experts were ancient existences. Their strength was not at the level of the 5-element Saber Saint. For example, the celestial demon Old Man's strength was infinitely close to the celestial being realm. He was vaguely stronger than the young emperor. The joint attack of these 8 was equivalent to at least a dozen ordinary half-step celestial being realm experts. Now, these 8 half-step celestial being realm experts were working together with only one goal, which was to kill Chu Fengyan. It was a dead end. In such a situation, it was definitely a dead end. Yin Qianlong's eyes involuntarily looked at Chu Fengyan. In his deep eyes, he seemed to be considering whether to take action or not. He was now under Chu Fengyan's command, and a seal had been planted in his heart. However, if Chu Fengyan died, the seal on his body would be completely broken. From then on, he would regain his freedom. What's wrong, Yin Qianlong? Are you thinking of betraying me? Suddenly, just as Yin Qianlong was thinking of this, Chu Fengyan's voice suddenly rang out of his mind. You're just a bunch of chickens and dogs. What can you do even if you join forces? No matter how many ants there are, they can't bite a real dragon to death. Those who besiege me today must die. The last 2 sentences came from Chu Fengyan's mouth. In the center of the countless killing moves, Chu Fengyan's body suddenly moved. Chu Fengyan's body suddenly swelled and turned into a dragon that was thousands of feet long. The nobility of this long dragon surpassed Tianlong, the divine dragon, the ancient war dragon, and even the countless dragon emperors and dragon emperors. The aura on his body represented that he was the ancestor of all dragons. It was the aura of ancestor Tianlong. The appearance that Chu Fengyan had transformed into was a miniature version of ancestor Tianlong. Chu Fengyan had obtained a part of ancestor Tianlong's Genesis Qi, which was equivalent to obtaining the dragon's origin. Now, Chu Fengyan was a part of ancestor of all dragons. A tyrannical dragon's aura enveloped the area. Even many of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu couldn't help but kneel on the ground under the dragon's aura. The dragon's aura emanating from Chu Fengyan's body was enough to make the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu submit. This was the dragon's aura of the ancestor of all dragons, Tianlong. Chapter 1784. Progenitor Tianlong. This man can actually transform into progenitor Tianlong? Has this man already mastered the dragon's origin? How can this kind of power be controlled by a human? This man is no longer a human. How can he still be a human after going through the heaven-defying tribulation? Not only the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu, but even the 8 half-step celestial realm experts who attacked Chu Fengyan felt the power of Chu Fengyan's dragon's might, and their mind were affected. Under the dragon's might, Chu Fengyan seemed to have become a supreme existence. In front of Chu Fengyan, they were just ants. In their hearts, they had no intention of continuing to fight with Chu Fengyan. Don't panic, it's just dragon's might. Even if this man is the real progenitor Tianlong, he's only in the realm of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. No matter how strong the bloodline is, it's just empty talk without power. Kill this man, and we can all obtain his power. The celestial demon Old Man was the strongest, and he was the first to wake up under Chu Fengyan's dragon's might. He roared loudly. Hearing the celestial demon Old Man's voice, the other half-step celestial realm experts' killing intent was awakened, and their faces were full of greed. Yes, if Chu Fengmian could obtain the dragon's origin, so could they. As long as they killed Chu Fengmian, the dragon's origin in Chu Fengmian's body would belong to them. Heavenly Demon Great Brahma Mantra. The celestial demon Old Man roared, condensing demonic will in his palm. Suddenly, it turned into a handprint and blasted toward Chu Fengmian. In this handprint, the power of Demon Dao and Buddha Dao was integrated into it at the same time. Demon Dao and Buddha Dao were originally two extremes, but they were of the same origin. For example, Demon Emperor Shuexia, who went from Buddha to Demon Dao, comprehending both Buddha and Demon Dao. The celestial demon Old Man in front of them had reached such a realm. His black robe disappeared, revealing his original appearance. Half of the celestial demon Old Man's appearance was like a piercing Buddha with a face full of Buddha light, but the other half looked like an extremely vicious demon. Buddha and demon in one body. This was the celestial demon Old Man's true strength. This palm strike was even more powerful than the arm that Heavenly King Huang had used to attack the Sword Dao sect. When Heavenly King Huang had attacked the Sword Dao sect, Chu Fengmian had to borrow the power of the Sword Origin World to force Heavenly King Huang to retreat. The Heavenly Demon Old Man's palm was even stronger than Heavenly King Huang's. However, in the face of this palm, Chu Fengmian's expression did not show any signs of panic. After overcoming the heaven-defying tribulation, Chu Fengmian's strength had reached a whole new level. There's nothing special about being one with Buddhism. Unless you're able to complete both paths, you'll never be able to step into the celestial realm for the rest of your life. When Chu Fengmian saw the celestial demon Old Man's palm strike, he transformed into the ancestor celestial dragon and struck out with his claw. Primogenitor's first move. Chu Fengmian, in the form of progenitor Tianlong, used the 9 moves of the progenitor with a casual swipe of his claw. Furthermore, he had comprehended the 9 moves of the progenitor with the essence of dragons. Bang! A claw and a palm collided in the air. The power of the heavenly demon Old Man's palm was mercilessly crushed and collapsed in the air. The heavenly demon Old Man only felt an extremely powerful force entering his body. Then, the heavenly demon Old Man was directly sent into the galaxy, crossing thousands of miles of starry sky. The heavenly demon Old Man was sent flying thousands of miles in just one exchange. All the onlookers were stunned when they saw this scene. What kind of strength was this? The heavenly demon Old Man was definitely at the peak of the half-step celestial realm, especially when he had cultivated the Buddha and demon body, which was almost equivalent to the strength of 2 peak half-step celestial realm experts. Now, he was no match for Chu Fengmian. Rumble. Just as everyone was shocked, the other 7 half-step celestial realm experts' joint attack had arrived in front of Chu Fengmian. Under the joint attack of the 7 half-step celestial realm experts, countless spiritual power turned into a huge killing array, shrouding Chu Fengmian. They wanted to kill Chu Fengmian with the power of the killing array. When Chu Fengmian easily sent the heavenly demon Old Man flying, the 7 half-step celestial realm experts all understood. No one could compete with Chu Fengmian in a one-on-one fight, so the 7 of them joined forces to form a killing array. This killing array was formed by the 7 of them. Their blood, chi, and strength were all condensed together. The power contained in this killing array had gone beyond the scope of the half-step celestial realm. It was many times more powerful than the heavenly demon Old Man's power. Tear it apart. Seeing the killing array coming, Chu Fengmian raised his eyes and suddenly attacked. His body, which was thousands of feet tall, suddenly rushed toward the center of the killing array. 2 dragon claws tore the air. In front of these 2 dragon claws, even a continent would be torn apart. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the killing array formed by the 7 of them was torn to pieces, and the 7 figures separated once again. Kill! The 7 half-step celestial being realm experts seemed to have anticipated this. The moment they separated, they attacked at the same time, unleashing countless killing moves directly at Chu Fengmian. The 7 half-step celestial realm experts just happened to surround Chu Fengmian from all directions. They attacked together and attacked with countless killing moves, making Chu Fengyan unable to dodge at all. This was a calculation. Such an alien shouldn't exist in this world. Kill this man, and we all have the hope of breaking through to the celestial realm. At this extremely dangerous moment, the galaxy was suddenly torn apart. Several killing moves were launched from the galaxy and aimed at Chu Fengyan. Another half-step celestial realm expert attacked. This time, there were a total of 5 half-step celestial realm powerhouses who made a move. It's the 5 old antiques of Qi Linshan. As expected of Qi Linshan, he won't sit idly by and let this boy grow up. Among the 8 half-step celestial realm experts who just joined forces to attack Chu Fengyan, except for Old Man Mental Demon, the other 7 belong to the Avalon of 5 elements and the Sea region. Among the half-step celestial realm experts, who also belong to the 4 forces, only Qi Linshan had not shown up. Now it seemed that the half-step celestial realm experts of Qi Linshan had arrived early and were just waiting for an opportunity. Now, when the 7 half-step celestial realm experts attacked Chu Fengyan together with their full strength, the other 5 half-step celestial realm experts of Qi Linshan also took the opportunity to attack. All of a sudden, there were 5 more half-step celestial realm experts. A total of 12 half-step celestial realm experts attacked at the same time, but their target was only one person, Chu Fengyan. Chapter 1785. If this person doesn't die, he will definitely become the #1 genius in our Daluo star field. One of the 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu looked at Chu Fengyan and muttered to himself. It was enough for 12 half-step celestial realm experts to join forces to besiege him. Even if Chu Fengyan were to fall this time, his name would still be recorded in the ancient scrolls and left behind for eternity. However, the onlookers knew that in order to kill Chu Fengyan, the experts of the 3 major forces had all come out. Under such a joint effort, Chu Fengyan had no hope of surviving. With 12 half-step celestial realm experts joining forces, Chu Fengyan's fall was already destined. The sky was full of killing moves bombarding Chu Fengyan. Even if it was a continent, under the joint attack of these 12 half-step celestial realm experts, it would be blasted into pieces. Just as these countless killing moves bombarded Chu Fengyan's body, a roar suddenly resounded through the world. This roar was not a dragon's roar, but the roar of a giant beast, an ancient giant beast. A shadow appeared behind Chu Fengyan's back. It was a giant beast. When the giant beast opened its mouth, the world fell into a pitch-black darkness. Any light was sucked into the giant beast's mouth. Everything in the world, even the heavens, was about to be devoured by this giant beast. This shadow was the heaven-devouring beast. What Chu Fengyan got through this heaven-defying tribulation was not only the part of the origin aura that belonged to ancestor Tianlong's claw. Chu Fengyan also got the part that belonged to the heaven-devouring beast's heart. Although Chu Fengyan couldn't transform into a heaven-devouring beast, he could gather the power to summon the heaven-devouring beast's shadow. Heaven-devouring secret technique. Heaven-devouring. Chu Fengyan laughed, and the power of heaven-devouring secret technique was madly activated. The sky full of killing moves were devoured by the heaven-devouring beast's shadow. In an instant, they were turned into pure spiritual power and poured into Chu Fengyan's body. Heaven-devouring origin energy. Heaven-devouring. Now that Chu Fengyan activated the heaven-devouring secret technique, he could devour an entire continent, let alone killing moves and martial techniques. Rumble. All the killing martial skills that besieged Chu Fengyan were mercilessly devoured by the sky-swallowing secret skill, leaving nothing behind. They were all transformed into pure spiritual power in the sky-swallowing secret skill, pouring into Chu Fengyan's body. 5 elements Saber Saint. Chu Fengyan looked at the 12 half-step celestial realm experts, and finally, his eyes locked on the 5/5 Saber Saint. This 5-element Saber Saint had once launched a sneak attack on Chu Fengyan. Later on, he had tried to kill Chu Fengyan several times. Among the 12 people, 5/5 Saber, Chu Fengyan's first. Whoosh. Chu Ts, Ts. Before the 5-element Saber Saint could react, Chu Fengmian had already arrived in front of him and launched a palm strike. Before this palm hit the five elements Saber Saint, the wanton spiritual power was about to tear the five elements Saber Saint's body apart. In an instant, the five elements Saber Saint sensed an incomparable danger in his mind. Five elements divine power. Master, save me. The five elements Saber Saint waved his hand. Suddenly, a jade talisman flew out from his palm. The jade talisman flew out and faced Chu Fengmian's palm. In an instant, it blocked the power of Chu Fengmian's palm. Celestial Jade Talisman? The five-element Saber Saint also has such a thing? The power contained in the Jade Talisman had surpassed the ordinary half-step Celestial Realm experts. Only the real Celestial Realm experts could have such power. Chu Fengmian saw the Celestial Jade Talisman for the first time when he was in the Buddhist temple of the Pure Land. He did not expect that the five-element Saber Saint also had it. Is there really a Celestial Realm expert in this world? Is he just hiding? Hiding in a place I don't know? Chu Fengmian suddenly thought. The reincarnation monk had an extraordinary origin. After all, he was from the reincarnation sect. It was not strange for the reincarnation sect to have a Celestial Jade Talisman. However, the five-element Saber Saint did not have such an amazing origin. The Jade Talisman in his hand was very close to the power of the five-element Saber Saint. He definitely did not get it by chance. If the Celestial Realm experts saw Chu Fengmian's current opportunities, they would not be able to resist killing Chu Fengmian. So what if you are in the Celestial Realm? When we meet in the future, we don't know who will live or die. What is there to be afraid of? Suddenly, Chu Fengmian sneered in his heart. He suddenly felt carefree. With the speed of Chu Fengmian's strength increasing, it would not be difficult for Chu Fengmian to enter the Celestial Realm. Moreover, once Chu Fengmian stepped into the Celestial Realm, given the opportunities he had, his strength would definitely not be comparable to an ordinary Celestial Realm expert. Even if he encountered a real Celestial Realm expert or an immortal, Chu Fengmian would not be afraid. You want to protect your life with a Jade Talisman? Break! Chu Fengmian waved his hand, and the Ancestral Dragon Supreme sword appeared in his hand. When Chu Fengmian obtained the dragon's origin, the Ancestral Dragon Supreme sword seemed to have undergone various changes. Its sharpness had become much stronger. The Ancestral Dragon Supreme sword was originally a dragon sword. Although it was a spiritual sword forged by Dragon Emperor Yengu, it contained the power of dragons. Only sword cultivators who possessed the power of dragons could unleash the full power of the sword. It was very suitable for Chu Fengmian. Even after Chu Fengmian obtained the Titanic Godly Sword, he still used the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword as his main weapon. Now that Chu Fengmian had obtained the dragon's origin, it could be said that Chu Fengmian had surpassed the previous creator of the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword, Dragon Emperor Yengu. Under the nourishment of the dragon's origin, the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword was infinitely close to an extreme immortal weapon. It only needed an opportunity to transform. In terms of power, it was many times more powerful than when it was in the hands of Dragon Emperor Yengu. With the spiritual sword in hand, Chu Fengmian's sword will burst out from his body. The sword will and dragon power were infused into the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword. Suddenly, a sword light burst out and pointed at the Celestial Jade Talisman. The five-element Saber Saint was someone Chu Fengmian must kill. Even if he had the Celestial Jade Talisman, Chu Fengmian had to kill the five-element Saber Saint today. He would break the Celestial Jade Talisman first. 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu. How could a 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu possess such power? The power in the Celestial Jade Talisman condensed and turned into a figure in front of the five-element Saber Saint. It was a middle-aged man. He sized up Chu Fengmian with a look of disbelief and shock in his eyes. Chapter 1786. The owner of the Celestial Jade Talisman was someone who had ascended to immortality. Once he stepped into the Celestial Realm, he was no longer immortal, but an immortal. But even such an immortal was shocked when he saw Chu Fengmian's aura. He thought that Chu Fengmian was at least a peak half-step Celestial Realm cultivator to force the five-element Saber Saint to hand over the jade talisman. He'd never have guessed that Chu Fengyan was just a Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu. Moreover, how could an ordinary Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu possess such power? This aura, you're no longer human. Inception. This is the power of inception. Are you an innate divine beast? No, there are no more innate divine beasts in this era. Have you fused with the inception aura? Have you transcended a heaven-defying tribulation? The mysterious immortal looked at Chu Fengyan and instantly guessed his identity. An anomaly. Such an anomaly has appeared in the world. Valuation, star domain, 9 realms? Sure enough, even if the former sacred domain has declined, it's still a sacred domain. Such an anomaly has been born. The mysterious immortal looked at Chu Fengyan and muttered to himself. Then, he suddenly spoke to Chu Fengyan. Junior, I don't want to be your enemy. How about you give me face and let my disciple go? You and I will meet again in the future. It'll be good to show him some face. The mysterious immortal didn't make an enemy out of Chu Fengyan, but wanted to make peace with him. Master, the 5 elements saber saint looked at the mysterious immortal in shock. He hadn't expected the mysterious immortal to want to make peace with Chu Fengyan. What's going on? Could it be that even an immortal can't do anything to this kid? That's impossible. No matter how strong this kid is, he's just a 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu. It'd be easy for a celestial realm cultivator to kill him. How could they make peace with him? And this kid, many people looked at Chu Fengyan in shock. They'd all thought that Chu Fengyan and the mysterious immortal condensed from the celestial jade talisman would have a bloody battle. Many of the surrounding cultivators were still waiting for the two to fight to the point where both sides were seriously injured before reaping the benefits. This result shocked them greatly. Countless eyes looked at Chu Fengyan, wanting to see his answer. Although the celestial talisman was only a talisman, it contained the power of the celestial realm. Even if it was only the power of one strike, it was still a true strike from the heavens. It was enough to easily kill a half-step celestial being elite. No matter how strong Chu Fengyan was, it would be difficult for him to withstand a true attack from a celestial being. I'm giving you face, but who do you think you are? Besides, should I give you face? Am I supposed to wait for you to kill me? Chu Fengyan didn't hold back at all. Who do you think you are? As soon as Chu Fengyan's words came out, countless onlookers, including many half-step celestial being experts, fell silent for a moment. Crazy. Chu Fengyan had gone completely crazy. The minds of countless martial artists were filled with this thought. This was an immortal who had truly stepped into the celestial being realm and ascended to immortality. Even if he was a half-step celestial being, he was still far from being a true celestial being. Ascending to immortality, shedding the mortal and becoming an immortal. This was the dream of many half-step celestial being experts. Even a peak half-step celestial being like the Sky Demon Old Man had to be respectful when meeting a true immortal. Who dared to insult him like this? Such a disdainful tone. Only Chu Fengyan dared. Although the mysterious immortal's words were polite, Chu Fengyan sensed a hint of greed in them. Chu Fengyan's current body was just like an innate divine beast. Whoever could kill Chu Fengyan could divide the primordial qi in his body and become an alien of heaven and earth. Not to mention a mere immortal. Even celestial venerables and celestial emperors couldn't resist such temptation. If Chu Fengyan released the 5 elements Saber Saint, the mysterious immortal would still come to kill Chu Fengyan. In this way, there was no reason for Chu Fengyan to release him. Junior, you... The mysterious immortal was enraged when he heard Chu Fengyan's words. However, before he could finish, Chu Fengyan's voice rang out and interrupted him. Chu Fengyan looked at the mysterious immortal and said coldly, with the corner of his mouth twitching, "Celestial being realm? So what if you're an immortal? Today, I'll kill your disciple in front of you, an immortal." As he spoke, Chu Fengyan suddenly made his move. The sword in his hand moved, and a beam of sword light slashed towards the 5 elements Saber Saint. He was going to carry out Chu Fengyan's words. He was going to kill the 5 elements Saber Saint in front of the mysterious immortal. As he spoke, he made his move without hesitation. Is Chu Fengyan crazy? Is he challenging an immortal? Even if it's just the power contained in a jade talisman, it's not something he can contend against. Good, this kid is courting death. This is our chance. The other 11 half-step celestial being experts were extremely excited. They were worried about how to deal with Chu Fengyan, and now the opportunity had presented itself to them. However, none of them made a move. Instead, they quietly watched Chu Fengyan make his move. This was because they knew that the mysterious immortal would not sit idly by. Junior, how arrogant. Challenging an immortal? You're challenging the supreme authority. Kneel down and await your judgment. Otherwise, what awaits you will be annihilated. The mysterious immortal stared at Chu Fengyan and roared loudly. Supreme authority? What a joke. Even the heavenly Tao can't do anything to me. You're just a puny immortal. You're only at the bottom of the 9 levels of immortals. How dare you call yourself supreme authority? Chu Fengyan said disdainfully. He could vaguely feel that the mysterious immortal's strength was indeed far superior to Chu Fengyan's, but he was not the kind of existence that could make Chu Fengyan tremble. This mysterious immortal was at the first level of the 9 levels of immortals, the immortal realm. Chu Fengyan would be able to fight such a person even if he was a half-step celestial being, let alone if he was a true celestial being. Of course, Chu Fengyan was not afraid in the face of this mysterious immortal. Chu Fengyan had already defied the heavens by integrating the primordial qi. He was not even afraid of the heavenly Tao. So why would he be afraid of offending a puny immortal? Moreover, this mysterious immortal had already set his sights on Chu Fengyan, so Chu Fengyan had no scruples. Impudent! The mysterious immortal was furious when he heard Chu Fengyan's words. He was indeed at the immortal realm and ranked at the bottom of the 9 levels of immortals, but he was still a true immortal. Half-step celestial beings were ants in front of him, not to mention Chu Fengyan, who was only the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. Junior, I'll let you understand why celestials are invincible. I'll show you the power of the immortal path. Chapter 1787. Suppress. The mysterious immortal suddenly made a move. Just by uttering one word, Chu Fengyan felt that the power of heaven and earth around him was controlled by the mysterious immortal. As soon as he uttered the word, the power of heaven and earth gathered and turned into a 9-story pagoda, which suppressed Chu Fengyan. Technique via thought. The mysterious immortal could mobilize the power of heaven and earth around him to suppress Chu Fengyan. Technique via thought? Is this the mystery of the celestial realm? It is said that each of the 9 levels of the celestial realm will comprehend a unique ability. The first level of the 9 levels of the celestial realm is technique via thought. Chu Fengyan got Jianling's memory and had some understanding of the 9 levels of the celestial realm. Technique via thought was the unique ability of the celestial realm. He could mobilize the power of heaven and earth around him without using spiritual energy. This was different from the control of the celestial realm by the Emperor realm. The Emperor realm borrowed power, while the celestial realm commanded. The technique via thought alone was enough to suppress an ordinary half-step celestial realm martial artist on the spot with the power of heaven and earth. Stepping into the celestial realm means that one's control of the laws of heaven and earth is far beyond the Emperor realm. Only then can technique via thought. No wonder there are no martial skills for celestials, only celestial arts. When Chu Fengyan saw the power of this technique, he thought to himself as he waved his hand and suddenly blasted out a palm attack. The 90% pagoda above Chu Fengyan's head was shattered in an instant. It could not hurt Chu Fengyan at all. What? The mysterious immortal saw that Chu Fengyan had broken his technique via thought with a casual blow, and his face changed slightly. Although the person in front of him was not his real body, the jade talisman also contained the power of his blow. It was not a problem to subdue an ordinary half-step celestial realm martial artist, but it could not do anything to Chu Fengyan. You are indeed an alien of heaven and earth. You have some skills. However, following that mysterious immortal revealed a sinister smile on his face and attacked again. A blade appeared in his palm. Five Elements Divine Saber. The Five Elements Divine Saber of the Five Elements Saber Saint was not created by him. Instead, he had learned it from a mysterious immortal. However, the power of the Five Elements Divine Saber displayed by the mysterious immortal was completely different from that of the Five Elements Saber Saint. It was a true immortal technique. Boom! The Five Elemental Divine Saber condensed a blade and swept down towards Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian's spiritual energy was instantly sliced apart by the blade. Immortal technique. As expected of someone at the celestial realm, using an immortal technique right off the bat. For many of the half-step celestial realm experts, it was also their first time seeing a true celestial realm expert in action. Sensing the power of the immortal art, they couldn't help but shudder. The power of a celestial technique was several times that of a heaven-class martial skill. This brat is finished. I didn't expect the power contained in a jade talisman to be so terrifying. This brat has countless treasures on him. As long as I can get some of them, I'll have a chance to step into the heaven tier. I have to get it my all. All eyes fell on Chu Fengmian. In the eyes of many half-step celestial realm experts, Chu Fengmian was almost a dead man now. In their minds, they were already thinking about how to divide the benefits after Chu Fengmian was killed by the mysterious immortal. But in the next moment, all the thoughts in their minds came to nothing. An unbelievable scene happened in front of everyone. The spiritual sword in Chu Fengmian's hand suddenly soared into the sky, and a sword chi collided with the Five Elemental Divine Saber in the air. Scorching flames swept everything as Chu Fengmian's blade struck out. The blade of the Five Elemental Divine Saber was shattered by the collision. The flames turned into a sea of fire and swept towards the Five Elemental Saber, Saint behind the mysterious immortal. Immortal technique. You also know immortal technique? The mysterious immortal said with great surprise. Immortal technique could only be created and used by someone at the celestial realm who had ascended to immortality. Otherwise, it wouldn't deserve to be called immortal technique. Only immortals could use it. However, the attack that Chu Fengmian had unleashed was indeed an immortal technique. Furthermore, it was an immortal technique that was even more profound than his own immortal technique. The Three Suns Blazing Sword was a sword technique created by the First Sword Emperor, although it was the weakest attack of the First Sword technique. But the First Sword Emperor was a dignified immortal emperor, and the immortal technique created by him was not something the Five Elemental Divine Saber could compare with. Now, Chu Fengmian was only at the Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu realm. Once Chu Fengmian stepped into the celestial realm, he could easily kill warriors of the same realm with this sword technique. Old man, just watch how your disciple dies in the sea of fire. Chu Fengmian sneered. His figure merged with the sea of fire and flew towards the Five Elemental Saber Saint. Junior, how arrogant! The mysterious immortal shouted angrily and blocked Chu Fengmian. If Chu Fengmian really killed the Five Elemental Saber Saint in front of him, where would he put his face if he couldn't even protect his own disciple? Get lost. Looking at the mysterious immortal blocking in front of him, Chu Fengmian suddenly transformed into Ancestor Tianlong and slammed his dragon claw down. The power of the second move of Ancestor was completely unleashed. Each of the 9 moves of Ancestor was more powerful than an immortal technique. However, it was different from immortal techniques. The power of the 9 moves of the primogenitor came from the bloodline. Apart from the primogenitor Sky Dragon, even the strongest dragon tribe wouldn't be able to fully unleash the power of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. But Chu Fengmian was an exception. He had merged with the dragon's origin and could be said to be Ancestor Tianlong. The 9 moves of Ancestor that he unleashed represented the pinnacle of the dragon clan's martial techniques. The huge dragon claw slammed down horizontally. Under countless dumbfounded gazes, the mysterious immortal's figure was directly sent flying. The mysterious immortal was sent flying by Chu Fengmian's claw. Originally, the onlooking warriors thought that Chu Fengmian and the mysterious immortal would have a fierce battle. At the very least, it would be a situation where both of them would be injured. But they didn't expect the situation to change so quickly that they couldn't react at all. The mysterious immortal was sent flying by Chu Fengyan just like that. He couldn't even put up a fight. Do you really think I can't deal with you? If your original body was here, I would have to retreat. But a mere clone can be destroyed with a flick of my finger. As Chu Fengyan spoke, the aura on his body completely erupted. Chu Fengyan had just fought with the mysterious immortal because he wanted to try fighting with a real celestial realm expert. Chapter 1788. This mysterious immortal was only a clone formed by the power contained in a jade talisman. If his real body was here, Chu Fengyan would have to retreat. Even if Chu Fengyan had merged with the primordial qi and become an anomaly, his realm was still too low. With Chu Fengyan's realm of the Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu, being able to kill a half-step celestial being was already extremely heaven-defying. However, in front of a true celestial being, he was still too far away. However, this mysterious immortal was only a clone. At best, his strength was only slightly stronger than an ordinary half-step celestial being. If Chu Fengyan wanted to destroy this clone, it would be a piece of cake. However, Chu Fengyan would do as he said. He wanted this mysterious immortal to see the 5 elements saber, Saint Die in his hands with his own eyes. After sending the mysterious immortal flying, Chu Fengyan arrived in front of the 5-element Saber Saint in an instant. Looking at the panic-stricken 5-element Saber Saint, he struck out with a palm. "Junior, stop! How dare you kill my disciple?" Before the mysterious immortal could finish his words, Chu Fengyan's palm had already landed mercilessly. Under Chu Fengyan's palm, the 5-element Saber Saint's body exploded in the air. His essence blood was devoured by the sky-devouring secret technique and turned into nourishment for the divine tree. Silence. The spectating martial artists were all stunned. They really couldn't imagine that Chu Fengyan would really dare to kill the 5-element Saber Saint in front of an immortal. This kind of killing in front of the mysterious immortal was definitely an insult. In the future, he would definitely fight to the death. Ruthless. Sect Master is too ruthless. Yin Qianlong was scared half to death when he saw this scene. Chu Fengyan didn't even take the threat of a celestial being realm expert seriously. He had even thought of rebelling against Chu Fengyan just now. Chu Fengyan didn't kill him, which was equivalent to letting him walk through the gates of hell. Now, Yin Qianlong no longer dared to think of rebelling against Chu Fengyan. Good. Seeing the 5 elements Saber Saint Die in Chu Fengyan's hands, the mysterious immortal was so angry that he laughed. What a little bastard. I, Lin Wuxing, swear that if I don't kill you, I am not human. Even if you hide at the ends of the earth, I will still kill you. Lin Wuxing was the name of this mysterious immortal. Once this oath was made, it practically meant that there was no possibility of reconciliation between Chu Fengyan and Lin Wuxing. Between the two of them, one must die. I'll wait for you. However, Chu Fengyan sneered. He wasn't afraid in the slightest. He already had enough enemies. One more wouldn't make a difference. As he spoke, Chu Fengyan sent a beam of sword light towards Lin Wuxing. Bang! As the sword light passed, the Deva Jade Talisman's 5 elements forest and the Deva Jade Talisman were destroyed. Chu Fengyan waved his hand, and the celestial Jade Talisman fell into his palm. Although it was broken by Chu Fengyan, the Jade Talisman itself was a good treasure since it could withstand the power of the celestial realm. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Chu Fengyan easily killed Lin Wuxing's incarnation with a single strike. Many of the spectating warriors were unable to react in time. However, all of a sudden, a few streaks of light swiftly flew into the distance. They were the 11 half-step celestial realm warriors who had besieged Chu Fengyan before. The moment Lin Wuxing's incarnation was killed, the 11 half-step celestial realm warriors activated the escape lights and quickly fled into the distance. The immortal incarnation couldn't kill Chu Fengyan. Instead, it was killed by Chu Fengyan. Even after killing the 5-element Saber Saint, Lin Wuxing's incarnation, Chu Fengyan's strength didn't weaken. Instead, it became stronger. This made the plan of the 11 half-step celestial realm warriors to take advantage of the situation completely fail. They turned around and fled. However, Chu Fengmian wouldn't let these 11 half-step celestial realm warriors escape. Their blood essence was the best nourishment for the Tree of God. Tianlong Prison. Chu Fengmian let out a long roar as an illusory figure of the dragon race that was thousands of miles long appeared and fused with the surrounding space in an instant. Within the starry skies, the layers of space transformed into figures of the ancient dragon race one after another. The starry sky within thousands of miles was sealed and turned into Tianlong Prison. Dragons were the overlords of the sky. The pinnacle of space Tao was primogenitor Tianlong. Chu Fengmian obtained the Genesis Qi that belonged to primogenitor Tianlong's claw. Not only did he obtain the dragon's origin, but he also obtained the power of space Tao. The seal that Chu Fengmian casually cast now was extremely difficult to break even for a true celestial realm warrior. The surrounding thousands of miles was completely sealed. The 11 half-step celestial being realm martial artists were trapped inside. Even if they used countless means, they could not break out of it and break free. Chu Fengmian, let us go. From now on, we will never provoke you or the sacred dragon's secret realm again. We are willing to admit that you are the master of the sacred dragon's secret realm. A half-step celestial realm warrior on Qi Linshan's side looked at the sealed space and said to Chu Fengmian. His voice was trembling because he was afraid of Chu Fengmian's strength. If you force us, there will only be a life and death struggle. How about we both take a step back and live in peace? Life and death struggle? Take a step back. Chu Fengmian's eyes were filled with disdain as he looked at the half-step celestial realm warrior. Do you think you are qualified to do so? You. Seeing Chu Fengmian's disdainful gaze, Qi Linshan, a half-step celestial realm martial artist, was infuriated. How dare a nine-tribulation ancient emperor look at him with such disdain? But now, looking at Chu Fengmian's gaze, he felt a chill in his heart. Chu Fengmian, do you have to force us into a corner? Another half-step celestial realm warrior from the Avalon of 5 elements spoke up. We are in the wrong for besieging you this time. How about this? If you want any compensation, you can tell us. We will compensate you. That's right. As long as you state your conditions, as long as they are not excessive, we will compensate you. A half-step celestial realm martial artist from the Shanghai metropolis also asked, compensation? Of course I want compensation, but I don't need you to give it to me. I will naturally get compensation after I destroy the 3 major forces. Chu Fengmian said with a laugh. From a moment these people dared to besiege Chu Fengmian decided that the 3 major forces would be removed from Daluo Starfield in the future. How could Chu Fengmian care about such a small compensation? Damn it. Chapter 1789. Judging from Chu Fengmian's words, Chu Fengmian wanted to kill all of them here today. These half-step celestial being realm experts were almost the absolute upper echelons of the 3 forces, and their status was prominent. But now, in Chu Fengmian's tone, they were like ants that could be crushed at any time. How could they not be angry? This boy is too arrogant. Yes, let's join forces and kill this boy. Let's attack together. Kill. The 11 half-step celestial being realm warriors present attacked at the same time. They joined forces and blasted out countless killing moves, aiming directly at Chu Fengmian. They all knew that only by joining forces, they had the capital to compete with Chu Fengmian. After all, there were 11 half-step celestial being realm warriors. When they joined forces, even a real celestial being realm expert would have to retreat. The killing moves condensed and blasted out, turning into rays of light. The power contained in them was enough to destroy everything, bombarding Chu Fengmian. This time, these half-step celestial being realm warriors were also forced into a desperate situation. They had nothing to hide and used all their trump cards to fight with Chu Fengmian. They're going all out. Chu Fengmian is too arrogant. I'm afraid he will end up in a life and death struggle. After all, even a celestial being realm expert would have to retreat when 11 half-step celestial being realm experts join forces. It will be difficult for Chu Fengmian to defeat them all by himself. I'm afraid Chu Fengmian will also suffer a loss. Many onlookers watched the scene and thought in their hearts, Chu Fengyan wanted to kill all 11 half-step celestial being realm warriors by himself. It was indeed an extremely crazy act. After all, even if they joined forces to deal with Chu Fengyan, they did not use their full strength. Instead, they each had their own ulterior motives. They wanted to seize Chu Fengyan's treasure, so they held back some of their strength. Therefore, Chu Fengyan could defeat them. But now, Chu Fengyan actually intended to kill all 11 half-step celestial being realm warriors here. This was to force them to unleash their full strength and work together to deal with Chu Fengyan. Although they were short of a 5-element Saber Saint, the power of these 11 half-step celestial realm martial artists was several times stronger than the power they had just unleashed. Rumble. The powerful destructive power bombarded Chu Fengyan's body. It was unknown how many killing moves were contained in the core of this force. Many ancient killing moves were contained in it. At this moment, all of them simultaneously entered Chu Fengyan's body, wanting to destroy Chu Fengyan. But at this moment, the sword in Chu Fengyan's hand suddenly moved. The power of the stars continuously condensed on the blade in Chu Fengyan's hand. Star power condensed much faster in the outer realm than in the 9 regions. A steady stream of star power fused into the blade and turned into a river of stars. Break! Chu Fengyan spat out a single word as the sword in his hand slashed at the countless killing moves in front of him. This river of stars simply crossed countless starry skies and turned into a sword light. In the eyes of countless people, this sword light was simply going to split the sky and the endless river of stars into two. At the center of this sword light, a vast amount of pure galaxy power formed 2 large words. 7 kills. The 5th move of the 9 profound immortal art. It was also the most powerful move of the 9 profound immortal art that Chu Fengyan had mastered. The moment the word 7 kills was condensed, the power of the stars immediately burst out. Countless killing moves were completely annihilated and devoured by the power of the stars. The joint attack of the 11 half-step celestial being realm martial artists and countless killing moves were easily neutralized by Chu Fengyan's sword. Countless onlookers only felt that everything in front of them was simply like a dream. The joint attack of the 11 half-step celestial being realm experts was simply enough to destroy the sacred dragon mystery realm, but it was still broken by Chu Fengyan's sword. The current Chu Fengyan was no longer a human, but an ancient god of war. He was invincible. Just as the onlookers were extremely shocked, Chu Fengyan's figure suddenly moved. He turned into a ray of light and flew out. In an instant, he was in front of the 3 half-step celestial being realm martial artists from the Avalon of 5 elements. Just then, a shocking killing intent erupted from Chu Fengyan's body. Waves of killing intent died, Chu Fengyan's eyes blood red. All of the killing intent condensed on the sword. Just as he was approaching the 3 half-step celestial being realm martial artists from the Avalon of 5 elements, the sword slashed down. The sword in Chu Fengyan's hand was filled with endless killing intent as it slashed down with a loud bang. Killing swordsmanship. The sword that was filled with killing intent swept across. The 3 half-step celestial being realm martial artists from the Avalon of 5 elements were extremely horrified. One after another, they displayed countless techniques and condensed countless defenses. However, these layers of defense were like paper in front of Chu Fengyan's sword. The killing swordsmanship swept across, breaking the layers of defense on their bodies. The killing swordsmanship blasted into their bodies. Bam! Bam! The bodies of the 3 half-step celestial being realm martial artists from the Avalon of 5 elements were shattered by the sword and turned into masses of blood essence. They were all mercilessly devoured by the sky-devouring secret skill. This scene simply drove countless people crazy, especially the onlookers who belonged to the Avalon of 5 elements. They were almost scared to death. These 3 half-step celestial being realm martial artists belonged to the absolute antiques of the Avalon of 5 elements. They were definitely in the upper echelons. Now, they had all died in the hands of Chu Fengyan, including the 5-element Saber Saint. A total of 4 half-step celestial being realm martial artists had all died in the hands of Chu Fengyan this time. These four half-step celestial being realm martial artists had been famous in the Daluo starfield for a long time. Many of them were the most dazzling geniuses of their era. Their glory was recorded in the ancient books. But now, these legendary figures were all killed in front of Chu Fengyan like chopping melons and vegetables. The joint forces of the three half-step celestial being realm martial artists could not withstand Chu Fengyan's sword. It could be said that these three people had never imagined that they would die in the hands of Chu Fengyan, the Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu, even in their dreams. Chu Fengyan's heaven-defying tribulation had attracted a total of 12 half-step, celestial being realm martial artists from the three major forces. In the eyes of countless people, Chu Fengyan was already in a desperate situation. It was simply a situation where he would die. However, they did not expect Chu Fengyan to break all of this with his tyrannical strength. He first killed the celestial being Incarnation, then killed the three half-step celestial being realm martial artists. In the hearts of the crowd, Chu Fengyan was now invincible. Chapter 1790. Not only did this scene intimidate the onlookers, but it also shocked the remaining 8 half-step heaven-human realm martial artists. How can this kid be so terrifying? This is just the Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu. If he steps into the half-step celestial realm, won't he be able to kill real celestial realm warriors and real immortals? This kid must die. If he doesn't die, it will be our doomsday. The 8 half-step celestial realm warriors discussed with their divine thoughts, and the killing intent in their hearts grew stronger. Chu Fengyan's ruthless means obviously did not give them a chance. If they wanted to leave alive today, their only hope was to kill Chu Fengyan. Just as Chu Fengyan devoured the essence and blood of the 3 half-step celestial realm warriors of Avalon of 5 elements, the 8 half-step celestial realm warriors struck again. They suddenly attacked Chu Fengyan from the back. However, when their martial arts were about to bombard Chu Fengyan's back, a sword aura suddenly flew out and shattered their martial arts killing moves. The next moment, more sword auras flew out from the Sky-Edge sword box on Chu Fengyan's back. Thousands of sword auras flew out from the Sky-Edge sword box. At the same time, a gust of wind spiritual power also condensed on the sword edge in Chu Fengyan's palm. It merged with the thousands of sword auras and burst out a dazzling sword light. Four-sided hurricane sword. The sword aura hurricane swept out and crushed everything around. The half-step celestial realm warrior belonging to Qi Lin Shan, who was the closest to the sword aura hurricane, was immediately drawn into the sword aura hurricane. He did not even have a chance to escape. The moment he was drawn into the sword aura hurricane, his body was shattered by the violent sword aura contained in it. The sky-devouring secret skill appeared in front of the dead half-step celestial realm warrior and devoured all his essence and blood. Another half-step celestial realm warrior died in the hands of Chu Fengyan. The 6th of the 12 half-step celestial realm warriors who besieged Chu Fengyan had already died. This was just the beginning. The power of four-sided hurricane sword might not be as powerful as the 5th move of the 9 mystery swordsmanship, 7 kill. However, in terms of pursuitability, it far surpassed 7 kill. Dozens of sword aura hurricanes chased after the other half-step celestial realm warriors from all directions. The surrounding space had been sealed by Chu Fengyan, turning into a cage. No matter how those half-step celestial realm martial artists tried to escape, there was no way they could escape. Another scream rang out. Another half-step celestial realm martial artist belonging to Qi Lin Shan, the famous ancient tree emperor, had died in the sword Qi hurricane. The ancient tree emperor is dead. What a terrifying sword aura hurricane. The ancient tree was a god. The ancient tree, king tree. Ancient tree king was have a ancient heavens. Was a step celestial tree, was celestial tree. It was said that this ancient tree emperor was a natural-born mutated tree that had gained sentience and transformed into a human. It had lived for 100,000 years and possessed an unimaginable amount of spiritual energy. However, Chu Fengyan's sword aura hurricane killed him mercilessly. The ancient tree emperor's body shattered, and an ancient tree that was hundreds of feet tall appeared where he had been. This was the ancient tree emperor's true form, a mutant tree. Although it was not a divine tree that had inherited the power of the builder tree, it still contained incredible power. Once the ancient tree emperor stepped into the celestial realm, his true form would turn into the legendary immortal tree. His future would be limitless, far beyond ordinary celestial realm warriors. However, the ancient tree emperor had now become Chu Fengmian's enemy, which was equivalent to destroying his future. At a glance, the ancient tree was already riddled with holes. It was obvious that it had just been injured by the sword aura hurricane. However, the ancient tree had an amazing vitality. It did not die under the sword aura hurricane. Mutant tree. Good stuff. It can be integrated into my divine tree. It can increase the power of the divine tree. Chu Fengmian's eyes lit up. He suddenly reached out and grabbed the 100-foot mutant tree. Although this 100-foot mutant tree had the power of a half-step celestial realm warrior, it was still not worth mentioning in front of Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian waved his hand and unleashed his spiritual power. The layers of defense on the mutant tree were mercilessly crushed. The 100-foot mutant tree was pinched in the palm of Chu Fengmian's hand. Devour. Soon after, Chu Fengmian sent the 100-foot-tall strange tree into the divine tree. In just a few moments, the strange tree was devoured by the divine tree. The divine tree in Chu Fengmian's body had inherited the power of the ancient builder tree. It was the emperor of all trees, the ancestor of all trees. This mutant tree was not worth mentioning in front of the divine tree in Chu Fengmian's body. It was turned into nutrients for the divine tree. After devouring such a mutant tree, Chu Fengmian felt that the divine tree's power was at least equivalent to the power of the blood essence of 10 half-step celestial realm warriors. Obviously, such mutant trees, flowers, and other creatures were more beneficial to the divine tree's power. Chu Fengmian's gaze fell on the other 4 half-step celestial realm warriors of Qilin Mountain. Many experts of Qilin Mountain were like the ancient tree emperor. They were monster gods transformed from strange flowers, plants, and trees. Their original bodies were enough to enhance the divine tree's power. Thinking of this, Chu Fengmian did not hesitate and reached out to grab them. Under the pressure of the 4 directions hurricane sword, these half-step celestial realm warriors were already exhausted. They could not even resist Chu Fengmian's attack. Suddenly, the 4 half-step celestial realm warriors of Qilin Mountain were pinched in the palm of Chu Fengmian's hand. Chu Fengmian circulated his spiritual power in his palm and destroyed their original bodies. They had all transformed into unique living beings. There were vines, flowers, and plants. They were all monster gods of plants that were born by chance between heaven and earth. Devour them all. Chu Fengmian laughed and sent all of them to the divine tree. They were then devoured by the divine tree. The divine tree was the source of Chu Fengmian's power. As the divine tree's power rose steadily, Chu Fengmian also felt that his power was also rising. After the 5 half-step celestial realm warriors of Qilin Mountain were all devoured by the divine tree, the divine tree's power was about to evolve further. The divine tree in Chu Fengmian's body was about to break through and step into the half-step celestial realm. It was 1 step ahead of Chu Fengmian. However, the divine tree's power was rising steadily. When it was about to reach its limit, it suddenly stopped. Chapter 1791. Chu Fengmian was surprised for a moment, but he immediately reacted in the next moment. The divine tree had already recognized Chu Fengmian as its master and had even become one with him. Chu Fengmian's current realm was only that of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. The limit of the divine tree's power was also only that of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. Therefore, even if it had accumulated enough power, the divine tree still could not break through. Half-step celestial realm? Soon. Wait a little longer. When I step into the half-step celestial realm, I'll help you break through. Chu Fengmian spoke softly to the divine tree. The divine tree seemed to have gained sentience. Its leaves swayed continuously, apparently understanding Chu Fengmian's words. This made Chu Fengmian's lips curl into a smile. The divine tree could be said to have accompanied Chu Fengmian's growth to its current strength. It had already become a part of Chu Fengmian's body. Chu Fengmian was also very happy with the divine tree's growth and changes. This kid has the aura of breaking through to the next realm. This person is breaking through to the next realm. This is our chance. The remaining 3 Sea Realm warriors were all half-step Celestial Realm warriors. They also felt the aura of Chu Fengmian and suddenly attacked, condensing their spiritual power. At this moment, the spiritual energies of the 3 of them gathered together. Soon after, it transformed into a huge figure in the sky. This figure was born. He held a trident in his hand and contained boundless divine power. He stood in the starry river. The sea god. It was said that the ancestor of thousands of sea clan, the supreme existence, the sea god. The civilization of the sea clan was born from the sea god. It was almost equivalent to the existence of the human emperor of the human clan. This sea god condensed, holding a trident, and suddenly blasted down on Chu Fengmian. Boom! The moment the trident blasted down, monstrous waves suddenly surged above the starry sky. This part of the starry sky suddenly turned into a sea. The waves weren't made of seawater, but of spiritual energy. Extremely powerful spiritual energy had transformed into waves. In an instant, the power of the entire starry sky was no longer under Chu Fengmian's control. Instead, it was controlled by the ancient sea god's phantom, condensing on his trident and blasting at Chu Fengmian at the same time. The sea god's path. Not bad. Chu Fengmian's face could not help but turn serious. The power contained in the phantom of the sea god was far beyond Chu Fengmian's expectation. Originally, there were only 3 half-step Celestial Realm warriors left, and Chu Fengmian did not put them in his eyes. After all, Shanghai City's strength was actually the weakest among the 4 major forces, and it was also the most low-key one. Unexpectedly, when they truly erupted with power, the power of these 3 Blue Sea Realm, half-step Celestial Realm cultivators was the most terrifying. The power of the Phantom of the Sea God was even more powerful than the immortal incarnation in the Jade Talisman of the 5-element Saber Saint. Was it time? Fengmian's power was. He felt Fengmian moment felt that his physical body, body felt his body, his S's felt was the body. His was being, was flesh, 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 flesh. Fengmian, his, condense. The feeling of being torn apart disappeared in an instant. Chu Fengmian's body remained motionless as he allowed the trident and the waves to bombard his body. It's a little troublesome to condense the sea god with a few more half-step Celestial Realm warriors. But if there are only 3 of them, it's fine. Chu Fengmian laughed loudly. His body moved and transformed into the appearance of the ancestor Celestial Dragon, soaring into the sky. The dragon claw came crashing down and hit the trident. The trident and the phantom of the sea god were condensed by spiritual power. Bombarded by the dragon claw, the phantom of the sea god trembled violently and shattered in the next moment. Bang! The 3 half-step celestial being realm martial artists from the Blue Sea capital were all sent flying. They spat out large mouthfuls of blood essence and fell into the galaxy, just as Chu Fengmian took a step forward, intending to end the 3 of them. A demonic saber suddenly emerged behind Chu Fengmian. The demonic saber suddenly appeared behind Chu Fengmian, crossing countless time and space. Even the slightest aura was difficult to detect. It suddenly appeared behind Chu Fengmian and slashed toward his back. This martial technique was so mysterious that even half-step Celestial Realm warriors couldn't react to it. In the eyes of countless people, the demonic saber was 3 inches away from Chu Fengmian's back. There was no way to dodge it. Boom! The demonic saber pierced Chu Fengmian's back and pierced through his body. Countless onlookers didn't expect such a sudden change. Looking at Chu Fengmian's pierced body, they were all stunned. Chu Fengmian was dead? He was killed by the demonic saber that appeared out of nowhere? The situation had been reversed countless times. But this time, everyone was still dumbfounded. Chu Fengyan, who was invincible just now, was killed by the demonic saber, heaven and earth variant. His strength defies the natural order. Unfortunately, he went against the natural order. Unfortunately, he still died. A figure appeared beside demonic saber. It was an old man in black robes. Heavenly demon old man. The old man who took the lead to besiege Chu Fengyan but was sent flying by Chu Fengyan's palm. Heavenly demon old man didn't appear in the battle just now. In the eyes of countless people, heavenly demon old man should have died directly. Otherwise, he should have escaped. After all, heavenly demon old man was already exhausted and didn't have much lifespan left. He was already injured and not far from death. No one expected heavenly demon old man to suddenly turn around and attack Chu Fengyan with the demonic saber. He wanted to kill Chu Fengyan. However, it was the so-called reaping the benefits. Now, most of the half-step celestial realm warriors belonging to the three forces had been killed by Chu Fengyan. Only 3 from Shanghai City were left. However, these 3 had also been seriously injured by Chu Fengyan. The moment heavenly demon old man appeared, he blasted out a demonic palm and killed the remaining 3 half-step celestial realm warriors of Shanghai City. Except for him, all the half-step celestial realm warriors present had died. Even Chu Fengyan was pierced by the demonic saber. He was probably going to die. Heavenly demon old man became the final winner. It seems that I'm not destined to die. I'm actually given such a chance. Heaven and earth variant. Only I, heavenly demon old man, am qualified to be called a heaven and earth variant. Heavenly demon old man laughed. He suddenly grabbed at Chu Fengyan's pierced body, wanting to devour Chu Fengyan and turn him into a heaven and earth variant. Chapter 1792. Chu Fengyan had refined primordial energy and passed the heaven-defying tribulation. He had become a mutant like Tianlong. Now, as long as the sky demon old man could devour Chu Fengyan, he would replace him. He had been scheming to devour Chu Fengyan from the very beginning. He had purposely been sent flying by Chu Fengyan, but in fact he had been hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity. Now that the opportunity had come, the sky demon old man successfully killed Chu Fengyan as soon as he attacked. Seeing the opportunity to become a mutant so close at hand, the sky demon old man laughed heartily and grabbed at Chu Fengyan with his right hand. However, when the celestial demon old man suddenly reached out to grab Chu Fengyan's body, he felt nothing. Chu Fengyan's figure slowly disappeared in his palm. What? The sky demon old man's expression changed abruptly. The Chu Fengyan that was caught in his hand was actually just a shadow. What the demonic blade had killed just now was merely a shadow of Chu Fengyan. Do you think I can't see through your scheme, sky demon old man? Chu Fengyan's figure slowly appeared in front of the sky demon old man, a playful smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Chu Fengyan had seen through the sky demon old man's scheme from the very beginning. He had purposely exposed a flaw to force the sky demon old man out. The sky demon old man shuddered all over at Chu Fengyan's appearance. None of his schemes could escape Chu Fengyan's eyes. He had thought he could take advantage of the situation to reap the benefits, but now all his plans had been ruined. Looking at the playful smile on Chu Fengyan's face, the sky demon old man had no way to back down. He knew that Chu Fengyan would never let him go given his character. Sky demon disintegration blade. Boom! With a loud roar, the sky demon old man's body suddenly exploded into billowing demonic will. The sky demon old man had gone all out, abandoning his physical body. The billowing demonic will turn into a demonic blade in the air. This demonic blade had been formed by the sky demon old man's own blood and chi. The condensed demonic blade slashed at Chu Fengyan. The heavenly demon elder was also a strong-willed person. He knew that he couldn't escape, so he could only fight Chu Fengyan to the death. After all, the sky demon old man was at the peak of the half-step celestial realm, someone infinitely close to the celestial realm. Now, he had turned his body into a blade and unleashed a blade that was beyond the realm of half-step celestial realm. comparable to an immortal art unleashed by a true celestial being. Wherever the blade slashed, the river of stars would shatter. At the last moment, Sky Demon Old Man also used his strongest move, a desperate move. Only now did everyone realize how tyrannical the Sky Demon Old Man was as a grandmaster of the Devil Path. However, no matter how strong the blade was, Chu Fengmian's expression remained unchanged. However, sword intent was also condensing on the spiritual sword in his hand. All of a sudden, the sword in Chu Fengmian's hand moved. Within the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword, the dragon power and the power of Sword Dao had merged into one. Roar! The moment the sword slashed out, an earth-shattering dragon roar was heard and collided with the demonic blade in the air. Chu Fengmian's sword was once again revealed. The power of the 9 moves of the primogenitor could be faintly felt from the sword. Chu Fengmian had integrated the 9 moves of the primogenitor into his sword and turned it into a part of the 9 realms sword technique. In the eyes of countless people, this was simply a dream. The 9 moves of the primogenitor was created by the primogenitor Tianlong. It represented the origin of thousands of Dragon Clan martial techniques in the world and could be called one of the origins of the Dragon Clan. According to many ancient records, it was extremely difficult for the Dragon Clan experts in ancient times to fully comprehend the 9 moves of the primogenitor. Moreover, Chu Fengmian wanted to transform the 9 moves of the primogenitor into a sword technique. In terms of power, the 9 moves of the primogenitor far surpassed the 9 profound immortal art. Normally speaking, even if Chu Fengmian reached the immortal emperor realm, he wouldn't be able to transform it into a sword technique. However, Chu Fengmian was different now. He had obtained the primordial qi that belonged to the primordial claw of primogenitor Tianlong and had already comprehended the dragon origin. Chu Fengmian had fully comprehended the profoundness of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. It was enough for him to transform the 9 moves of the primogenitor into a sword technique. After all, Chu Fengmian was a sword cultivator. Even though he had obtained the Dragon Clan's bloodline, he was still a sword cultivator. Sword technique was Chu Fengmian's strongest technique. From now on, this will be called the 9 moves of the primogenitor. Boom! Chu Fengmian's sword intent burst out and soared into the sky. It was in the ancient book of Sword Dao that was in Chu Fengmian's body. 2 brand new pages were condensed once again. These 2 pages recorded the first 2 moves of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. No, it should be called the 9 moves of the primogenitor now. When the 2 brand new pages were condensed and integrated into the ancient book of Sword Dao, it meant that these 2 pages had completely become Chu Fengmian's 9 regions sword technique. However, Chu Fengmian had only condensed the first 2 moves of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. As for the remaining 7 moves, Chu Fengmian could only condense them after he comprehended the last 7 moves of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. Chu Fengmian's Dragon Clan's bloodline and Sword Dao's power began to fuse and become closer together as the 9 moves of the primogenitor merged into Chu Fengmian's 9 regions sword technique. These 2 forces had already merged into one under the blade of the sword. 9 moves of the primogenitor. The first move, dazzling sword light, soared into the sky. The power of sword qi condensed into the figure of primogenitor Tianlong, roaring as it rushed out. The rolling dragon's might shook the world. The moment it collided with the demonic blade that the heavenly demon old man had abandoned his physical body and turned into demonic blade, was unable to withstand a single blow from the 9 moves of the primogenitor. The demonic blade was broken, and the heavenly demon old man was beaten back to his original appearance. However, the power in his body was already extremely weak. Abandoning his physical body and blood essence was the last resort for the heavenly demon old man, who was nearing the end of his lifespan. Now that his last resort had been neutralized by Chu Fengmian, he no longer had any other means. Chu Fengmian had no intention of showing mercy. Another sword light slashed at the heavenly demon old man bang. The heavenly demon old man's body was penetrated by Chu Fengmian's sword light in the air. The heavenly demon old man had fallen. This time, A total of 13 half-step celestial realm experts had come to besiege Chu Fengyan. Now, without exception, all of them had fallen. The Daluotian star domain has changed. One of the 9 tribulations, Emperor Gu muttered to himself when he saw the scene. Chapter 1793. 13 half-step celestial realm experts were more than half of the half-step celestial realm experts in the entire Daluo star field. Now that all of them had fallen, not only the Daluo star field, but also the countless surrounding star fields would be shaken. However, this great commotion was only caused by Chu Fengyan alone. Countless onlookers looked at Chu Fengyan with incomparable respect in their eyes. He had killed 13 half-step celestial realm experts by himself. From now on, no one in the Daluo star field could compete with Chu Fengyan. Chu Fengyan was definitely the #1 expert in the Daluo star field. Qing Ming was very emotional when she saw this scene. When she invited Chu Fengyan to join the Holy Dragon sect, Chu Fengyan was just a little guy with good aptitude. Who would have thought that Chu Fengyan would become a figure who could dominate the Daluo star field in such a short time? All of this was beyond Chu Fengyan's expectations. Chu Fengyan originally only wanted to deal with the old antiques in the Holy Dragon's secret domain and occupy it first. Unexpectedly, Chu Fengyan obtained Ancestor Tianlong's claw by chance and caused a heaven-defying tribulation. It attracted the attention of countless experts and led to a bloody battle. During this time, Chu Fengyan experienced countless dangers. As long as Chu Fengyan was slightly careless, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. However, Chu Fengyan still survived and killed 13 half-step celestial realm experts. Chu Fengyan's prestige in the Daluo star field had been established. More than half of the half-step celestial realm experts from the 3 major forces have been killed. Now is the right time to subdue the 3 major forces. From now on, the Daluo star field will fall into my hands. Chu Fengyan looked in the direction of the Avalon of 5 elements. He wanted to start with the 3 major forces, and the first was the Avalon of 5 elements. Senior sister, let's go. Chu Fengyan was no longer in a hurry to go to the Holy Land. After all, he had already killed all the old antiques in the Holy Dragon's secret domain. Even if there were a few fish that escaped the net, after knowing how tyrannical and invincible Chu Fengyan was now, they would not dare to go against him. Since these 3 powers wanted to loot a burning house while Chu Feng was undergoing his heaven-defying tribulation, it was time for them to pay the price. Yes. Qing Ming nodded and turned into a light, flying with Chu Fengyan in the direction of the Avalon of 5 elements. Avalon of 5 elements was hundreds of millions of miles away. For an ordinary Emperor Gu, of course, it would take at least a few days to fly. However, Chu Fengyan was able to cross 1,000,000 kilometers in an instant with Qing Ming. In less than an hour, Chu Fengyan arrived in the sky above a huge continent. Beneath Chu Fengyan's feet was a continent made up of countless danger zones. There were danger zones with volcanoes, as well as places of extreme frost that could freeze an ancient emperor to death. A 10-land, a dozen land combined. Were together, but aside. There were also other sects that had other hidden lands. It was much more prosperous than the Holy Dragon's secret domain. However, the Sacred Dragon Mystery Domain was an area that had been single-handedly established by an important figure, while the 100-Ju continent was a unique continent that had been born in the endless starry sky. Chu Fengyan and Qing Ming arrived at the center of the 100-Ju continent. This was where Avalon of 5 elements was located. When Chu Fengyan and Qing Ming arrived at the sky above the center of the 100-Ju continent, the great formation around them suddenly appeared. The power of the 5 elements gathered and turned into rays of sword light, slashing toward Chu Fengyan. These rays of sword light were almost comparable to the bombardment of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. They were enough to force a half-step celestial realm warrior to retreat. This was the Avalon of 5 elements protective mountain formation. However, This protective mountain formation was inferior to the Heavenly Star River. After all, the Heavenly Star River was a unique barrier born from heaven and earth. It was difficult for an ordinary warrior to find the flaws in the Heavenly Star River. However, the Avalon of Five Elements protective mountain formation was man-made. Chu Fengmian could see countless flaws in it at a glance. He could break it if he wanted. However, Chu Fengmian did not need to go through so much trouble. With his current strength, he had killed many of the 9 tribulations Emperor Gu. Why would he care about this small protective mountain formation? Seeing hundreds of 5 elements sword edges suddenly slashing toward him, Chu Fengmian waved his hand and slapped down. Boom! Wherever Chu Fengmian's palm wind landed, the 5 elements sword edges were shattered into pieces. Next, Chu Fengmian's palm bombarded the Avalon of 5 elements protective mountain formation. A huge wave of spiritual energy collided. Crack! The Avalon of 5 elements protective mountain formation cracked under Chu Fengmian's palm and shattered with a loud bang. This great protective mountain array, which could even contend against a half-step celestial realm elite for a while, was right in front of Chu Fengmian, who could easily break it. To Chu Fengmian, the great protective mountain array was nothing. Within the Avalon of 5 elements sect, there were originally many disciples of the Avalon of 5 elements who were still cultivating in seclusion. In the various palaces, hall masters were still giving lectures. However, as the protective mountain formation shattered, the entire Avalon of 5 elements shook violently. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Countless disciples of the Avalon of 5 elements raised their heads and saw that the protective mountain formation of the Avalon of 5 elements had actually shattered. How is this possible? The protective mountain formation has been broken. Who is attacking the Avalon of 5 elements? Countless disciples of the Avalon of 5 elements were stunned. Looking at the shattered protective mountain formation of the Avalon of 5 elements, they were incomparably flustered. The Avalon of 5 elements was one of the 4 major forces in the Daluo star field. It was already considered good that the Avalon of 5 elements did not attack other forces. When could someone attack the Avalon of 5 elements? But now, the protective mountain formation of the Avalon of 5 elements had been broken. 2 people? However, when they took a closer look at the figures, they were even more astonished. In the sky above the Avalon of 5 elements, there were only 2 people. They originally thought that those who dared to attack the Avalon of 5 elements would be at least like the Sacred Dragon Secret Dimension and Qi Linshan, who were also one of the 4 major forces in the Daluo star field. But now, there are only 2 people. This was simply beyond everyone's expectations. Who is it? Who dares to barge into the Avalon of 5 elements? Suddenly, a figure flew out from one of the palaces in the Avalon of 5 elements. He transformed into a ray of light and rushed into the sky. A hall master who was in seclusion in the Avalon of 5 elements was alarmed and came out of seclusion. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.